It's so busy with communities and stuff in the summertime. Yeah. Right. Kind of treacherous right there if when it comes into Wabash here. If you're in a canoe lane. No. You'd have to come back. You'd have to come back upstream. Try to get the farm and let them just drive down there. You and everybody else. Yeah. I said, yeah, but come on. He said, yeah, everybody else.
Okay. Okay, Dayton Utility Board meeting will come to order. Roll call. We're all here. We need a motion, or does anybody have anything to say about the meetings for the minutes? Oh my gosh, sorry. The minutes from February 10th, 2020.
Make a motion to approve the minutes for February 10th, 2020. Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, I need a motion to move the claims docket to the regular meeting.
Make a motion to move the claims docket to the town board meeting. Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Clerk treasurer report.
Okay, I'm just gonna start stepping up here at the podium, so, I'm doing that instead. Just so you guys know, there is no adjustment report, that's why you guys don't have it in your packet, there was no adjustments for the month of February, so that's why it's not on the agenda. For the utility side, just a couple things. I had emailed with Reed back in October of 2019. I had came to the board and talked about the $15 ACH rejection fee for Invoice Cloud, and Ashley had asked Reed what we could do to get that in effect, because I can't get Keystone to add that fee into utility until we have something official in writing. So then he had stated that we could just update the ordinance, but Reed and I discussed, he said that it would be okay just for you guys to take an official vote. So I just asked the board to make a motion and vote to add the $15 ACH rejection fee for Invoice Cloud to our fee schedule so that I can get it added in, because we keep getting people's payments rejected and we're eating that $15 fee right now because I can't charge them that.
I'd make a motion that we add the $15, what'd you call it?
ACH rejection.
ACH rejection fee to our,
from Invoice Cloud.
from Invoice Cloud.
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay, and then the only other thing on the utility side, Stan had asked, I think it was at one of the January meetings where we were at, regarding Baker's Farm plan review, like getting reimbursed from BFNS. So I went through and added all of those invoices up. That was strictly the plan review, nothing else. That was an agreement that Greg is going to pay. So everything came to like, it was $14,000 and some odd dollars and change. Greg had already paid $5,000 up front. So I made copies of all of those invoices and sent him a letter. So he owes us $9,072.76. I talked to Greg today and he said, I will have that check in the next couple days. We had talked about everything else that you guys had agreed that he would pay, and I said that you guys would handle that. I was just in charge of the plan review, getting that back. So however you guys need to handle that or when that comes about, like the attorney fees and all of that stuff you guys agreed on. But for the site review, he will be dropping off a check for that $9,072. And that is it that I have for the utility side.
So you want us to do an invoice for that, or?
No, I've already sent all of the BFNS invoices that we have paid for the Baker's Plan, site review, and then minus the 5,000 that he had already paid. So he's going to drop off a check for that difference that we paid out of pocket. But he was asking me when he needs to pay, or all of, because you had sent me that email about the right-of-ways and all of that. That agreement thing that you guys agreed on, like the 2,000 for attorney fees
The
and all of that.
reimbursement agreement?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I let him know that you guys will handle that. I was just in charge of sending him what was due for the site. Because he was asking when that was paid or what was all owed. So I said, you guys, once you guys finalize everything or whatever the steps is, that you will get with him and then get everything calculated. Or one of you would get with me, so I know what to give you as far as the amount that's due for those things. This is strictly,
I mean, I think we can talk outside of a meeting about it, but.
yeah, I'm just saying, he asked me what it was, and I said
It's-
I didn't know, because I didn't know what the whole agreement was for all of the other things.
Yes, the reimbursement agreement,
Mm-hmm.
and so those are all monies that have been paid.
Correct.
So, like, we'll have to calculate how many times we paid, he has a mean stump,
Right.
and then, give him that number,
Right.
or give him those invoices.
And I don't have a copy of that agreement, so if you want me to start calculating
You
that and sending it to the board, or do I have that agreement?
He did.
Oh, okay, then it's probably sending an email. So I'll
Yeah.
pull it, if you guys want me to start doing that, then I can, I just didn't know where we were at in that process.
Yeah.
This is just strictly site review. Or plan review, excuse me.
Do we need like a motion or anything for her to do that?
No, it's already, yeah, it's already.
Okay, I mean for the
Oh.
other, like,
I'll start calculating and send it to you guys.
Thank you. Okay. Is that it, Michelle?
Yep.
Okay. Reed?
Nothing for utilities.
Okay. Reports of council members? Ashley? Dan? Okay. New and old business. Dayton United Methodist Church oversizing refund? Do you want to do this?
No,
I know.
I mean, I don't. Ron added
I
it
didn't
on
read
to
this.
the agenda, so.
Okay, a week
I'll
ago,
let you start.
we all got the letter from the church asking again, they asked last year for the oversizing of the pipes, which all developers, when the town asked to be oversized, and in our, according to our ordinance and development guide, the town pays for the oversizing. So the oversizing, there's a bill here from Fairfield, it's $20,511 for oversizing. Their interest on all this stuff was $12,000 some dollars. They were asking for half the interest of $6,153.30. A lot of this goes back from last year, back and forth. So, my thought is we give Malacca's, we give every developer oversizing credits. It's in our ordinance, it's in their utility agreement we signed with them, we should give that to them. I think last year some of the board was for it, and even Reed, you mentioned at one time, I think, for it. And then the one meeting, you guys changed your mind, I think, because Ashley started talking, and then they put a nix to it right there. So, anyway, I think we ought to, this thing's been going on for 15 years or so, we ought to they paid everything, they moved their pipes in the ground 2 different times at the whim of the town council. It cost them an extra $50,000, $60,000. They had to bring it to their point of development, which was what they did, and they oversized the lines, so we should get it.
I think the letter asked for a official response from this board, okay? And I think if you read Reed's emails that he sent earlier and what he handed out, he talks about that response. Oversizing credit is part of a negotiation with developers. To say that it's always given, I don't think it's necessarily true. The council saw fit 20 years ago, when working with the church, not to give oversized credit. It was part of that negotiation. The last council that this was brought in front of a year or so ago, reviewed everything, and out of the 3 items that the church had asked for, the council granted one of them, and did not grant the other 2 requests. One of which is oversizing credit, and the other was paying the interest on the oversized credit. And I think there's a reason for that. There was a lot of in-depth work done. There was a lot of people that were interviewed by various council members, not just myself, but various council members. Reed was actively involved in all this. And the decision was a 4-to-1 vote not to allow the oversized credit and interest to be paid back. And again, there was a reason for that last council, and there was a reason for that with councils 20 years ago when this all took place in 2001, I believe it was.
Okay.
I would make a motion that, that maybe we do respond in an official manner to the church with, the past council's vote. I think that's appropriate. And if the church wants to take it any further, then certainly that's their option.
Actually, on this oversizing, when the church did the negotiating, our ordinances said at that time that the town council asked them to oversize, that we paid for it. There's nothing in writing or anything that we did not say, there's no paperwork ever, that was done for some other reason. The church did what they did. That's why some of this council last year at first was for it, and some was against, until you piped up. And I think some of this stuff last year was for using, to have something over on the church, because we were trying to get them to sign contracts and everything like that.
I disagree with that, and I think that's
Okay, but
that's
actually, let me
spiteful.
finish, I'll let you talk.
Well, you want to
But
throw these charges out?
I was in the negotiations with the minister and the town board years ago, and these things were brought up. They were brought up over the years, and the town board just sort of sloughed it off, but I think they're asking for more than just a response to them. I think they do the oversizing. It's in our development guide,
Here's
and it's
a
in
letter.
our ordinance.
This is a letter where they ask for a response from the town council.
Well, I make a motion to give them $20,511.11 for the oversizing that they've been due for a lot of years.
Since you already made a motion.
There's 2
I made a
motions.
motion on the
Yeah.
floor. And I will point out that myself and somebody else present in this room was on that town council at that time. I'll also point out in the service utility agreement with the church, there were 5, 6, or 7 service utility agreements that were drawn up before the final one was signed. Nearly all of those service utility agreements had oversized credit language in it. When it came to the final service utility agreement, that language was removed, along with some other language. And there's a reason for that. And for us to sit here 20 years afterwards and to go against our attorney's advice, I think is not good government.
And Ron, I would just like to speak to the oversizing credit issue, because I never said that I was for reimbursing the oversizing credit. It was a complex issue of law and facts. There was a lot of information that we all looked at, including the FNSR town engineers. I issued memos, and I left it to the town council to decide. But there were 3 issues presented. They were all voted on. The stormwater fee was refunded. We had a signed legal document, including a settlement and release agreement regarding the payment of that fee. We had negotiations back and forth with the church to address that the issue of the interest was not part of that release. So we had clear communication regarding that these issues were disposed of. I don't think there was any question on anybody's mind that these all were disposed of. Now, the church is not unrepresented, so, you know, they initially had requested that we respond in writing. There's just simply no requirement in state law or in our ordinance that we had to write them a letter after we made those decisions as they requested. If they would like that, I don't have any issue with that. You know, it is your guys' decision what you want to do now, but I do think that, you know, this is a complex issue that this town council does not have all the information, at least regarding the legal analysis. Now, with the interest, there simply is no legal basis for their claim for interest. They actually only claimed that they had a right to interest on the stormwater recovery fee. They presented a specific state statute. I looked into it. The state statute did not apply. There's just simply no legal basis for interest in regards to the credits, in my opinion. They have not presented anything to counter that evidence regarding the law. I do acknowledge that the credits was an open issue. There was, you know, there's an interpretation that could be made either way. There were arguments that could be made either way. And that's, I'm sure, if you get into it again, you will find the same thing.
Well, I made a motion for one of the things, not the interest, for the oversizing, because I think that's what our ordinances and our bylaws say. And until somebody can produce a document, this town board has a right to change anything that was in the past. We're changing other things. We were voted in to make some changes, and we're relooking at things, okay? So I still, whenever it is, I make a motion to pay the $20,500.
Can I clarify, when you say that, do you mean pay in cash or provide them credits
Pay in
for future
cash.
development?
They
Because-
paid cash, and they, just like Malacca's, they'll pay cash, and then we give them back the cash. It's cash to cash,
It's not credit.
not credit. It's oversight, it's cash.
I have a motion on the table. The church is simply asking for a official response. Last line of the first paragraph here. This claim's been disposed of twice by town boards, 20 years ago and again last year, upon extensive research. We have ordinances, I agree with Ron, there's ordinances. When you do something like the projects, the scope of the church did, or Baker Farms or whatever, those type of projects, you know, McAllister out here, we have service utility agreements. And that service utility agreement clearly spells out who is doing what and paying for what. And there was a reason it was not included in the service utility agreement with Dayton Methodist Church.
Could it be that it wasn't included because it was already in an ordinance?
No, it was included in previous draft copies of the service utility agreement, along with some other items, okay, about extending sewers to this part and that part and so on and so forth. In the final draft agreement, you know, that the church signed, and there's a lot of language in board minutes and documents about this service utility agreement, back and forth, and I made some of those motions, you know, to, you know, the church review it, make their changes and send it back to the board and so on and so forth. There's another former board member sitting in this room tonight that was involved in it also.
But that's the agreement you didn't sign, right? Signed, you didn't sign.
The night that the board passed it, my signature did not get on the page. I was present at that meeting, but I missed signing it when papers were being passed around or something of the such.
But if the intent of the utility service agreement was to pay the church cash, they would have paid the cash 20 years ago. If it was, the intent was credits, then that would have been credits for future development.
If I might remember right, you said it's illegal to give future credits at a previous meeting.
No.
And that's the reason they came back and
No.
wanted cash.
I said we cannot, the church requested to waive all future credits. They wanted us to, for all going forward, and I said, I don't think that an agreement like that is enforceable. That is completely different than providing credits, because that's what is done through utility service agreements. You know, the town engineers have explained that that's done not just in the town of Dayton, but that's done across municipalities, because municipalities don't have a lot of cash, so they provide it through credits instead. So just the developer pays less.
So we had them put in a line twice down to their property. What are you laughing about? Twice to their property. And yet, in our development guide, it says about oversizing, it was in the prior agreements, but not the final one. So therefore, it's still our law that they should get that money.
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue with you, Ron, on what one side or the other, because I've said, you know, this is detailed. You can make an argument each way. I don't disagree with you, but you can make your argument.
Yeah.
The time frame that this has been going on, obviously, before I got so actively involved, but what would it take to actually go through and work this through the details to resolve this as quickly as possible? So that this happens.
I can tell you that myself and other board members had literally weeks involved, reading emails, going through board minutes, interviewing people that are still alive that were involved in this and that had signed the paperwork. It was several meetings with Reed and Joe Bumbleberg, our former attorney with the church members, gathering all the paperwork up to walk through this.
I do have completed memos, I have documents, so if you wanted to take this under advisement tonight, you'd have a better idea of what it is that you would need to catch yourself up on. There's also recorded public meetings that you can listen to. But it was at least 4 meetings, I think, that we addressed.
Yeah, talked, and the churches out here, again and again and again, and there was.
Again, the church is
There was
asking
reasons
for
that was voted on.
church is asking for a official response from the town board on this matter. One of their options is to send them a official response. And if they want, that basically prior boards have decided this, and we allow one of their claims and denied the other 2 claims. So you can send that response, and if the church wishes to pursue it, then they can pursue it, and then, if we need to.
Just a continuation.
We're just dragging
Get
it.
back into it.
That's what you're proposing?
I'm sorry?
Are you proposing that this is another continuance in the same manner that's been going on over the years?
No, I'm saying that it was disposed of during the last board. Okay, we found for one of their claims, and we paid that money. And then the other 2 claims, the interest and the oversized credits, we found that was not due to them.
Actually, it was disposed of against a lot of other.
You didn't get the answer that you're looking for, the church didn't get the answer they were looking for, I get that, okay? They're asking for
Yeah,
Again,
they're asking for more than a letter response, they're asking for something to finally be done. And I think that's why there's a new board here, to make some of these changes.
So you also have a letter from our attorney, that addresses some of
Then our
this.
attorney just said, go ahead and do what you want to do, and I'm taking part of it. My thought is I'm not taking all the advice, taking part of it. But I know how we discussed this for month after month after month. I was on those board member meetings way back then, and the church kept asking, why is all this animosity and this, and knocking and not doing things for the church when they built Wesleyan Drive that you drive on, they replaced those pipes in there 2 or 3 times at a cost at least 65 to 80, the 60, the 78,000.
Well, the church is not asking for any of that stuff, they don't even bring it up in here. You know, as far as animosity, I'm
Well, they
the
could,
one
they
that
brought it up last
proposed,
year.
I'm the one that's proposed to refund the stormwater, what's it called? Stormwater.
Yeah,
recovery
and
fee.
last year, and some of the other members on the board wanted to vote and give that. When you look at that film, until you piped up and said, no, I don't think we need to.
So
So
I have a
you
question
got a
as
motion,
the
you got a
fiscal
motion.
officer. So, everybody wants to talk about being fiscally responsible, but not one single one of you have come to me, and you guys want to talk about lowering utility bills, but have any one of you come to me and said, do we have the means to hand over $20,000? Just like Reed said, municipalities were not floating in money. So nobody has come to me and asked if we have that money to hand over, yet you guys want to lower utility rates, so you just want to hand out our money, and nobody's sat here and asked me about that. And second, just out of respect, and I can say this as a resident and not as a clerk treasurer, I don't care, but how can Al, Jen, and Stan make an educated decision on this when you guys have not seen the memos and all of the evidence that was presented that Reed's done? So if you want to take an actual, like, serious look at this, why don't you look at everything that the previous council looked at and talk to them, so that instead of just sitting here and making an emotional vote, actually look at everything that everybody put together in those months.
Cindy Marsh, 749 Shady Lane. It is beating a dead horse, it seems like, but the fact is, the reasons were laid out, but the decision that the previous council made did not rely on what the evidence said. There's the town ordinance that says that the town will pay for the oversizing. There's the developer's guide that says the town will pay for the oversizing. The argument that was presented was that, well, that was negotiated out of the utility service agreement. Well, first of all, the utility service agreement had a lot of errors along the way, some of which we provided evidence for, like facts to the town from Mike Smith of Hawkins. It was Hawkins instead of BF&S at that time. And that said we were providing to the church the easement. You know, and the utility service agreement didn't have a lot of the details in it in the end. But there was no reason, nothing, the church wasn't negotiating anything out. They were never required to extend the utilities to the end of their property line, and that's what the argument was. That it was negotiated out because the church would have been required to extend the utilities to the end of the property line, except our ordinance says that's not required, and so does the town's development guide. It was not required. And the evidence was that it was either just an innocent mistake, or what I personally believe is that there were personal animosities involved. And surprisingly enough, it does happen with governing bodies, hopefully no longer, but it has happened in the past, and hopefully it won't happen for at least 4 more years, but there are personal animosities that put up roadblocks every step of the way. You know, utility line is ran across from Shady Lane to Wesleyan, approved by the town, but suddenly that's not good enough, you're gonna make them move it. So the church had to move it and incur that cost. It's just one thing after another. And, you know, to be good citizens, sometimes you just have to do what's right. And even if the previous board, for whatever their motives were, interpreted the evidence one way, I'm asking you guys to interpret it the right way. And yes, an emotional way for an institutional pillar of our community and refund this money.
How can they make a decision if they haven't seen the evidence?
Oh, by the way, and, I'm sorry, Scott, I've seen the fund report and we have the money in water and
I'm
sewer.
sure you're not the fiscal officer.
Scott, so 7 live just outside of town. So looking at this, the outsider, the previous board acted, and like Reed said, and actually there's a lot of evidence presented, a lot of people that gave testimony on what some agreements were. You have the final agreement that the church signed, and so you should go by. If the church thinks that the town misinterpreted the contracts, they have recourse. They can file suit. I think the question to ask is what's changed between last year and this year? When things change is the makeup of the board. Who on this board is a member? If you're a member of the Dayton Methodist Church, would you please raise your hand? Ron, are you a member?
I've never gone to that church in my life, Scott.
Are you a member?
Are you a member of this town, or are you just somebody?
I'm part of the Dayton community.
Yeah, but when the builders down there, then you wouldn't let the people outside of town talk then, would you?
I have no control who talks at these meetings, Ron. I'm not a board
But I'm
member.
not I've never gone to the church.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you for
I'm
your honesty.
I'm a friend of the church, a good friend of the church.
So the good friend of the church is relying on the 3 people that he supported
Well, a good
getting
friend of
into
that
office
church,
to
too.
vote how he wants to vote. It's been decided.
No, it hasn't, Scott.
I was.
It was decided last
Well, I
year.
think the voters decided something different, Scott. Wouldn't you say that you think
Or
that's
yes,
why this
I'm
thing?
I'm not here
you
to,
think that's
sir,
why
I'm
this
not here
thing
to argue
works
with
in
you.
it?
I'm just offering
Well, you
public
are
comment
arguing.
to give
Stand
the
there
other,
arguing.
is my time up?
No.
Oh, okay. I didn't, well, I'm gonna time myself. I thought maybe my time was up. So we have 5 minutes, right?
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it. So it's been decided. So they talk about divisiveness. It was decided last year, like Mr. Stevenson said, some of the items that they requested were granted, some weren't. And now we're just digging in more divisiveness. So just keep that in mind. Thank you for your time.
But to be clear, Ron, my recommendation is that this is bad precedent to make a change to a decision. It's different than changing an ordinance, it's different than changing benefits. So I did not say you can do whatever you want. I just said, if you don't follow my recommendation, then you can proceed.
Yeah, we have changed decisions, and we in the future will change probably a lot of decisions. So I think the old board changed decisions over the previous boards on things too. After all, the old board did not give them stormwater refunds, that last board did. They made a different change on it. So I think every board has the right to make, and it doesn't set something in motion that's automatically going to happen. I think all boards make decisions with new information and new board, or they get voted in, people tell them stuff, and they make a decision accordingly.
This item has been decided by 2 boards. The last board just being one of the 2 boards that have decided it. Okay? And, there is
I don't
no,
think so. I don't
well,
think so.
in 2001, I believe it was December of 2001, that was when everybody signed the service utility agreement. Okay, so that board at that time, along with the church, had decided that there wasn't going to be any oversized credits that was in the service utility agreement. So that's one board that decided. When it was brought before the last board, after extensive investigation, it was decided again that there was no oversized credits. So it's been 2 boards that have decided that, not just one.
But is there something that actually says we're taking this out because of this?
What would
When
you?
they're originally writing it? Because could it have been, well, it doesn't need to be in there, it's already elsewhere?
It's in
We
your,
don't need to
it's
say
in your,
then?
it's in your ordinance, so
We don't know that that's not the case, right?
Yeah, we do know that's not the case. It was in all the not all, but nearly all of the previous service utility
We don't know
agreements
why.
had language in there.
Didn't John Carson
It
speak
didn't.
on
Wait
that?
a second.
John Carson was, You know, again, all the players were brought together, the ones that are still alive from the church, you know, from Dayton board. We discussed this, it went into it,
Yeah, and half the room was wanting to pay it back and half wasn't. But actually, you ran the board and you had the control, so you could.
I have never been board president, okay?
You don't
If it's
have to
run the board.
If it said it elsewhere, why wouldn't they put in there that we are not going to issue credits?
Well, I don't know that you put it, things that you're not going to do in it.
Even though it
Service
says
utility,
elsewhere that
then
you
you kind of
will,
do what you are going to.
That's the best argument you can make on that side.
and we don't know that's not the case?
But it was in there, why was it in there all the previous times and
I
then?
don't know what happened if it would go to court.
Yeah.
All the previous times mean nothing. Absolutely nothing.
It was on everybody's mind.
Absolutely nothing. It's the final one that's the only one that matters.
That's right,
Exactly.
and that's not in
So
there.
why are we even talking about the previous ones?
To show the fact that it was conscious on everybody's
Well, then
mind.
why wasn't it put in the final one?
That's
Because
exactly
it
right.
was, because it was in the ordinance. That we
Didn't need to be, actually.
Yeah, those are the two arguments. One of them is that it was taken out because it was in the ordinance. The other one is it was taken out because it was negotiated out. We don't need to, I mean,
It's the final one
but
signed.
the problem
we
that
have
both
it.
of you have is that neither of those are winning arguments that clear up the issue. I mean, you know, you can make the case either way, but it's just not a clear-cut issue. I can't tell you what would happen if this was litigated. That's the
Yeah,
nature of this.
I don't want to take a chance that
question
this
is-
town gets sued either.
Whether, you know, you guys are gonna
Yeah.
rehear this and issue a new decision, or whether you're gonna let it stand. I mean, that's really the threshold question first.
Or give I have a motion out there to send an official response to the church.
Okay. So go.
Okay, glad you got back to me.
Can you state your name?
Tom Snyder, 742 Shady Lane, Dayton. I'm kind of new to this. My wife was clerk treasurer when this all happened. I'm only vaguely knowledgeable on everything that y'all are talking about. But from what Stan has said, what Jan has said, what Al has said, they don't have enough information to make a decision on this tonight, especially not to toss $20,000 at the church, even though church is a wonderful organization, we want to be friends with it. However, look at Mr. Murtaugh. Mr. Murtaugh says it's bad precedent. If you allow this after it has been decided multiple times, the first time in 2001 when it was originally set, the second time when the last board said it's over, done, we've made some concessions to you, there are no more concessions. So an election occurs and 3 new members of the board are put on. That does not mean that you get to ask your question again. Okay? The bad precedence comes in where the church is a friend of the town. We want the church we want to be friendly to the church. But if you make this change for the church, there are businesses in town who could not come knocking on your door asking for the same sort of consideration. If you're not prepared to make that sort of consideration for everyone that you've ever made an agreement with, you're going to go down a bad road. So, I'll just address the 3 new members. If the 3 new members really want to consider opening up this can of worms that has been closed twice, then I heard each of you asking questions that you don't have the answers to. So voting on it tonight is a real bad idea.
Tom, I think that this board has listened to all these meetings last year, like half the town has listened to them. So it's not like they're coming into it blind. And we also gave a stormwater credit back, and does that mean it's gonna ripple on to every other business
It could.
in town?
It could.
No, you make a decision and you do what's morally right and you stand by it and you hope you
Okay.
don't get beat up. You know?
Part of our decision, when we allowed to return money to the church for that stormwater credit, was that there are other businesses in town that paid that same fee and that they should also be reimbursed to the tune of about $77,000.
So they're owed it.
So
COVID, that's what it all kind of, but the thing is.
Then you're, Ron, you're prepared to draft a letter that tells Perigo, Bedrock Liquors, McAllister, the 2 gas stations, the CNG, well, CNG probably doesn't have any facilities there. But you're prepared to write them a letter that says, come get some money, we owe you money?
If they're due it, I think we owe anybody that's due it. If we broke
But
the law.
it's already been
You want me to
settled.
answer your question, Tom? If we've already broken, like Ashley just said, if the other stormwater fee, and people come asking, we could have to give that back to them too. But if it's right, it's right. You don't just not give it to somebody because you're afraid the other ones are going to take advantage or something. You look at each case individually and see what was done at the time and what, but you don't just, yeah, they have that money
But
coming,
this is-
I say pay them.
When the decision was made, it was decided that that was right. Electing a new board does not change right or wrong at that time.
Tom, last year, a lot of things were done that half this town, let's say 51% of this town didn't agree with. That's why there is a new board, Tom. Do you think they?
Ron, 20% of the town did not vote.
Well, of the 20%.
Or 20% did vote. 80% didn't give a crap.
20% that cared and voted, Tom. Apparently, 51% of the 20% made a thing that there'll be a new board to make some different decisions.
By how many votes?
Because they were, it doesn't
By,
matter.
does it really matter?
No, actually. When the old board was
I'm over here,
on,
don't call him Ashley.
when the old board was on, and some of them won by 2 votes, I think, and some lost by 3 votes, it's still a new board. They make the decision. We
Okay,
didn't do
I've got a wonderful idea, we'll settle it. Let's have a town referendum.
Well, we asked for that last year, and the other side didn't want to do anything. did they?
And you want to do it right now because that was the right thing to do then, right? Bring it. Do you want to do it now because it was the right thing to do? Do you want a town referendum?
If we're gonna start handing out money, you guys better jack up water bills. No, because you guys are gonna put in, no, I'm speaking as the financial officer. If you guys are gonna start handing out money, then we're gonna have to up our water bills, because you're gonna put us in a position, if we have an emergency, we're not gonna have money in our utilities.
Well, then we better not give raises, we better not do these other financial
I'm
things.
expecting a raise in the next 4 years. As soon as you guys got elected, I knew I was doing.
So I have a motion on the table. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you said that there's 2 sides to this, and there's this argument and this argument, but they're saying we don't have all the facts.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't looked at my memo regarding the legal analysis, no?
Oh.
There was, I mean, I wrote like 4 of them. I gave you one memo regarding the legal analysis of the interest. There's, I think, 2 memos that I did analyzing the documents. I mean, you probably have reviewed the utility service agreement, but it's my review as the attorney of the utility service agreement. In what I think that you need to look at. And for me, at least, I would need to sit down and read it and process it.
There's a motion, is there a second? For which motion? Ash, please.
My motion is to provide a official response to the Dayton United Methodist Church in regards to their letter that they sent to town.
Okay. Can we just go on, because they're just going to say it? That motion dies for lack of a second.
Ron, can you
My
restate?
motion is that, just on the oversizing, we give them $20,511.11 back for the oversizing credit, because they oversized their pipes, and according to our ordinance, it should be paid back.
I'll second it.
Of course.
There's been a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.
All right, so do you want to just address the other one on there?
Oh,
Absolutely, because they'll be asking for that next week, so we'll address it.
I think the interest, you don't have something on the books stating about interest, so maybe we ought to look into the interest a little more and do a little research on it. Because we don't have an actual ordinance that says you've got to pay interest or don't have to pay interest or whatever.
Yes, you guys have that memo now, you just need to read it.
Yeah,
okay.
so we'll till the next meeting.
Wow.
Mark,
Wow.
That's what I said a lot last year, actually.
Who wrote that letter, actually?
I believe Pastor Dominic emailed it to us.
Mike.
It's the executive team of the Dayton United Methodist Church. I don't know if he's a member of the executive team or not.
I'm sure they were directed towards that letter.
Sure.
Okay, we've got several items to go over here this evening. The first one is a routine one. Each year, the state requires us to compile and distribute the Consumer Confidence Report. I'm sure you've all gotten it through the mail before, so we have until July 1st to get that done, but they just now sent out the notice, so I'll be working with Michelle on getting that put together, and we'll probably wait till May or so to get it sent out, but just let me know it's on the list. Under sewer or wastewater, I didn't have anything, but we did get a bill today for the repair of the lift station at We Engineering. That repair's been completed. It was a replacement of a pump, is what occurred there. The bill is for $4,475. So since it's a significant bill, I thought I'd bring it to your attention rather than just pass it on to Michelle to pay. I don't know if you need so yeah, I guess so we would want an order or
So I can go ahead
a
and.
motion to pay this bill. It was a pump failure, and we are responsible for the maintenance and upkeep of that lift station down there. So,
Make a motion to pay $4,475 to who?
FJF Services.
FJF Services for the repair of the lift station at We Engineering.
Second.
there's been a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, thanks, sir. Motion carries.
Okay, so on the streets. So I've been working with NDOT and the engineering firm on the proposed State Road 38 upgrade that would go from Conjunction out to Adams Road. It actually goes all the way to 421, but the part that concerns us is from Conjunction to Adams Road. So the next step that they requested of the town was what's called a utility conflict report. So they're wanting to know if anything they're proposing is going to be in conflict with our water mains or sewer mains or manholes or whatever. I had already went out and marked the utilities had actually walked the utilities with them and NDOT last summer, showing them where they were all at. And of course, if I don't know the exact elevation of their pipe, it's hard to say, hey, this is going to be a conflict. So under our general services agreement with BF&S, they handle things of this nature. So I turned it over to BF&S. They replied to Shrewsbury, who is the engineering firm, that there were a couple of concerns with some stormwater drains that they're putting in, which is good in that we want to address those now so they can adjust their design to our existing infrastructure rather than wait until they get the road tore up and then here we go. So I'm just making aware that that's been the next step, and they're still, just to remind you, the closest time frame that they come up with is in 21 or 22 is whenever this work would be done. The biggest impact it will, well, besides having the road will be shut down. So people will have to go all the way around. There will be no bypass in Dayton while this road is being rebuilt. So that's going to be I think where that impacts us, other than inconvenience, is that there'll be some increased heavy traffic on Dayton Road. And I spoke to them on more than one occasion about how we're going to manage that semi-traffic, especially going north near the school. So they're aware of our concerns, and hopefully we'll be able to find a route that is maybe not Dayton Road and a little bit sooner towards the edge of town there. But that'll be we'll get to that point when we get there, but that's something that they're aware of. Community crossing. So paperwork that I sent in was apparently appropriate, and they've issued the purchase orders, and they've sent those to the town, and Michelle's coordinating all that. They will have the funds deposited into the town's account within 3 to 4 weeks. So we're ahead of schedule on that, and that would be the funds that I'm referring to would be that NDOT money over there for the street projects. Concerning those projects, so down on Harrison Street, where we're putting a sidewalk on each side of the street, on the east side of Harrison at 291, there's a basketball goal and a power pole. The homeowners agreed, and we're taking out the basketball goal. It's not a big thing. But that power pole is causing there to be more or less a horseshoe in the sidewalk to go around that power pole. And if you look around town, you'll see 2 or 3 others of these where they've had to do that. So I went ahead and contacted Duke Energy, met with their engineer out there back in early February to see what it would take to get that power pole relocated. And of course, it's not free. The quote that he sent back to me that I have from Duke Energy is to relocate the power pole at a total cost for the town of Dayton would be $5,579, which seems significant. And I guess something I would want to point out that our community crossing project is already $48,000 over budget, or 21%. So it's not as if we're at even money now, even though I would like to see the power pole moved. I just want you to be aware that we're already over budget on this. But I don't like the idea of a power pole being right in the path of the sidewalk. We looked at 2 different scenarios. One is moving the sidewalk closer to the street, but because the street does not have curbing, you have to keep a minimum distance back from the edge of the road. If we move it back up closer to the houses, then we have a sidewalk coming into someone's driveway, where it's then prohibited for them to park in their driveway because they'll be blocking the sidewalk. So, you know, has to be a balance where you're keeping the homeowners' concerns in place, as well as the safety of using the sidewalk, but then we have this power pole right in the dead center of it.
I think maybe we ought to take a look at moving that power pole. That's a main road in Dayton. Harrison Street's probably the second busiest street in Dayton, next to Dayton Road. And, I think aesthetics and such, putting that type of money to do the sidewalks, everything that's going on there, I think it's appropriate. Not that I'm happy with the cost, but I think it's appropriate to spend that money for the aesthetics of that area.
Is that in front of that house, Young? Is that right?
No, this is down on the corner.
Yeah.
This is at the corner, kind of the house that's on the corner of Main and Harrison, on the east
Where will
side.
they move it?
Up on
Yeah.
Where will they move it?
They would move it back into the yard, 3 or 4 feet, not far, but a bit.
This might be a silly question, but would we have to pay the homeowner?
No, because it's within the 60-foot right-of-way which the town owns for the street sidewalk, so,
So it'll still be in our right of way.
yes, it would be. It would be in our right-of-way and then some. It's not even to the edge of that right-of-way.
When do we need to decide on
Well, I guess only in that,
It takes Duke a long time.
yeah, let's say that we need to give them 30 days, okay? So, let's call that, if we made a decision tonight, that would be April 15th, we'll call it. If we wait until the next board meeting, which is like April 10th or something like that, and we made it, so then we'd be out to May 10th. So, I mean, and that's just me assuming that they can get it done within 30 days after we give them the go-ahead.
Mark, on that power pole, there's lines from east and west and north and south that tie into it. I mean, it's kind of the main power pole at that.
It does, it comes down off of Harrison, say from Deerfield, and then it actually crosses over Harrison towards the Redbird Cafe.
Yeah.
So it's on the corner house, right?
Well, it's in their yard, but it's not up at the corner, it's back
On
on that.
back this way?
Yes, towards their, what would that be, their south property line.
Is it on this side of the, no, their drive's there?
Yeah, it's up, their drive comes off of me. It's right by the basketball goal, you can't miss it.
I mean, we have a lot of sidewalks, got a curve around.
Oh, I know.
Or something.
I know. The bad thing about this is, there's one over on a different section of Main, and the tree's been gone for a long time, but then you're going down this sidewalk, and it's got this loop there, but the tree's no longer there.
Up on Conjunction,
Is there another one there? Yeah,
where there's a big tree.
yeah. So no, it's not uncommon. I just, I didn't think it would cost this much for one, and I mean, my personal preference is, yeah, let's move that pole so we don't have a loop in our sidewalk. You're only gonna build it once. But by the same token, did I think it was gonna cost $5,500? No.
So, like when an engineers that, don't they make that suggestion at the time or something, or do they just automatically?
Well, in his
They
suggestion,
would have thought of that or something.
well,
Well, they did think of it, but, so you're in a situation where you got, X number of feet, okay? So, when you move a sidewalk, sidewalks are, about, 3 foot, 4 foot wide, okay? So when you move them, do you move it closer to the houses, or do you move it closer to the street? You're making everybody happy, okay? And this path that they went on here, okay, this is a logical choice for it, but there's basketball goal and a power pole in the way. The homeowner's not married to the basketball goal and said, yeah, do it with it, we don't use it anymore anyway.
Put a power pole.
In the power pole, so, then your next problem is, okay, so if you move it closer to the street, which you can do, and then it becomes not prudent to have a sidewalk that close to a street that it doesn't have curbing on it. It becomes a safety kind of thing.
I'm saying you got an engineer out there designing this, and we were in a position that they included originally, we could have saved 80%. We would only.
Oh, we included the cost of relocating the power pole.
Yeah, and it seems like when an engineer looks down there, the sidewalks are going around something, and
You know,
you thought of it, seems like they would have done it.
and you know, I don't know the answer for sure because I don't know if Community Crossing would pay for that or not. It's possible they might have. I'm not disagreeing, but I don't know if they would for sure.
You know, I personally would like to see us spend money to move it, and I'll make that motion if there's support.
Can we look at the corner?
I've seen the corner, and I think it would probably be a good idea to move the pole back.
Can I ask another stupid question? If you move the sidewalk towards the road, you need a curb. Curbs are probably very, very expensive.
Well, there's different engineering standards on sidewalks based upon, you know, the type of road you're putting the sidewalk along, okay? You know, what's the speed limit, you know, is there curbing, you know, that stuff, okay? So if there's no curbing, sidewalks have a tendency to be back away from the street a little bit more. If there is curbing, like on State Road 38 here, okay, and the speeds are appropriate and stuff, then you can have a sidewalk closer to the street. So, you know, these are things engineers look at when they're, you know, designing projects.
And you're right, curbing is
Curb's
very
gonna cost
expensive.
more than $5,000.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this particular project, you know, there was no design to put in curbing,
Right, that's what we did.
yeah.
Okay.
So, I make a motion that we have the power pole removed for $5,579.
I second it.
There's been a motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Okay, so I'm sure they'll send me some kind of contractor agreement. So I'll try to get that tomorrow, and then Ron will have you come in and sign that for me. The next item is Yost Drive, lighting and drainage. So we don't want to get too specific here, but a couple decisions that BF&S Engineering, who is designing this road, they need some guidance on it. So on the lighting, we don't have to pick out the specific, what the street light looks like per se, but do we want them to be Duke Energy owned lighting, or do we want it to be town owned lighting? The difference is, depending on, if you just want lighting like you have out here, where there are wooden poles with street lights on them, those cost us about $9.97 a month. You know, that's what we pay Duke to maintain them. If we want something different than that, which we might very well want simply because it's going to have a pedestrian trail. Not just they'll have a sidewalk on one side, but an actual pedestrian trail on the other. So when in that situation, you have to have lighting for it also. If you go out here on Veterans Memorial Parkway and you're heading towards Walmart, you see those lights, they have them coming off both sides. Those are actually county-owned lights. Those aren't Duke Energy lights. Because I thought, well, that makes sense. You have a light on each side for pedestrian safety, if someone's walking at night or whatever. So Duke does offer some options other than just the wooden power pole. But I guess we need to know, do we want to be responsible for the maintenance of the lighting, or do we want Duke to be? And really, that's what it boils down to, because if we say, okay, we want Duke to be in charge of the lights, they'll do the maintenance, then BF&S will get us, okay, here's the lighting options. Pick one out of here that you like. If you want it to be more a certain way, you would want to do it yourself, but then you are responsible for the maintenance. Either way, the cost of the lighting will be paid for by the project, 80/20. So it's not like you're gonna pay, I mean, even Duke charges you for putting in the poles and the lights. So that is paid for by part of the project. It would be at an 80/20 cost share. The question would be, if you do it on your own, you have more lighting options, but you are responsible for the maintenance.
Can we see what they offer for those options, and there might be something?
What Duke offers? Well, what they had told me was, the thing about Duke's, the lighting that they offer, that is more of a ornamental lighting versus these power poles out here. The problem is that the lighting, well, they measure that by lumens, I think it is. They're lower lumens so that the spacing is tighter, so it costs, so you have to have more light poles. So there's a catch to all the different options. I know that a lot of them now that we see put in are LED, which are a lot cleaner, brighter lights, which I think is the way to go. It's lower operating costs and it's a brighter light and everything else. I guess I wasn't ready to get into all the different options yet, simply because I was just trying to deal with generalities tonight anyway. But if you want me to go back to BFNS and say, hey, we would like to look at some of the Duke Energy, is that what you're talking about, the Duke Energy options?
Yeah.
I would say that would be the first option.
Okay.
And then you start talking about outside of Duke Energy.
It's wide open
Yeah,
after
I
that.
look at Duke Energy's offerings first.
Okay.
Like you say, the study of the lumens and the spacing.
Okay. I would probably what I'll do is I'll just have Colin Sullivan, he's kind of the customer service guy for BFNS. I'll have him come to the next meeting with those options and explain them to you. He could do it much better than I could.
But the LEDs would very cost efficient.
Yes.
The deal with the town owning them, you just have a contract of a lighting contractor would maintain them, and it would probably be about what it would cost. If you add up what we pay Duke Energy, it would probably be about a wash.
Is that right?
Amount.
Yeah.
There's
It's not like
companies
we
that
have
That's all
our-
they do is just go around and maintain lighting. So.
Yeah. It's not like we have our own electric department
Right,
like some
right.
towns do.
And it being LED, they'd only have to, they last for years and years and
Yeah.
years.
Okay. Well, so at least we've started the discussion and we'll go with the next meeting. The other part of that is a little bit more obvious, is the drainage. So there's two options. On the drainage out there, do we want open ditches or do we want subsurface pipe? Do we want ditches to maintain? Or do we want piping underground, like most of our stormwater drainage is here in town? And we have the right of way to consider either one. But of course, the ditches eat up a lot of green space per se.
When we did 38 here and they widened it on this part, they had open ditches at first, and along with Mike Harris's house, and the whole council fought it, because very seldom do you want an open ditch. You look at 350 and it's all weeds and all natural crap growing out of it. It's terrible.
Yeah, you do have a lot more maintenance with open
You know,
ditches.
just to mow.
And the
something
trash.
flat,
Yeah.
Open ditches, water stands in them, you get mosquito breeding and all that, so that's not really a good.
Any opinion on that, Jen, or?
I didn't know we had to make these decisions so soon.
And
I
there'll
didn't
be
know it was
many,
going here.
there'll be many more ahead, but these are just trying to get, because they want to know, they've got all the surveying done out there. The surveying's complete, so the next step will be preliminary design. So they need to know, well, what's the picture we have in our mind? And I said, well, we want something that is low maintenance. Do you have any ideas or thoughts on it, Al?
Being that that's probably going to be the most, for the town, newest area to be being steward of, would not like to see ditches in there.
Okay, Ashley, you have any opinions on
No open ditches.
that? Okay, that's clear enough. Okay. Next item is something that Michelle's taken care of for us. So, as I mentioned, the surveying is completed out there. At least the vertical elevation surveying's done out there. So, of course, we've already started receiving bills from BF&S Engineering. Then Michelle submits those bills to the state, and they reimburse us $80 on the 100 for everything that we pay out there, and that cycle has begun. So I think we're on our third month of that rotation, so they're reimbursing us in a timely manner. So far, we have spent $7,519, and have been reimbursed $5,490. If you do the arithmetic, that's not quite 80/20. That's because they still owe us a check for the last one we paid. But that process is going, and it's working out well. Okay, so now I think I mentioned this at the last meeting about the truck dealership. So the official name of that is Truck Country of Indiana. So whenever you hear me in future board meetings talk about truck country, that's what I'm going to be referring to. And I'm going to give you a copy of their preliminary design. It's got some good things on it, so let me give you these. So this is what they have submitted to BF&S to look at and see if there's any comments on it. And so first we'll talk about what I like about the design. And if you look at it, so it goes like this. So that's, the top is the north, okay? So see Hind Drive down at the bottom? So they're designing this to have 3 1.5 acre outlots along Hind Drive, which I think for the vision that some people have for that area out there is very good news, you know? We were always concerned about it being only commercial or industrial. Well, if they've already designated 3 outlots along Hind Drive, there can be hopefully some development out there that is more to the liking of more people. So the second thing I want to point out is, you see the highlighted road that goes back to a cul-de-sac going to the north? So their proposal to BF&S and to the town is that, listen, we want to get this place put in, so we're going to build a temporary road where Yost Drive is going. And then when the time comes and it's all been designed, you guys can tear that road out and put in your nice new Yost Drive. Well, the catch to it is that they want us to pay for this temporary road to their new business. So at BF&S's suggestion, that was not acceptable.
Did you tell them we put in Yost Drive, they are section?
Well, I did bounce that around a little bit. But, so the proposed option is where you see a temporary street or road coming off of Hind Drive through that first outlaw. That would be what BF&S is recommending to them at this time. So now, whether they haven't heard back from them since they put that in a nutshell.
Do we have to pay for this temporary road?
No. So that's where we stand. They're now aware that no, we're not going to be paying for any temporary roads going on Yost Drive. BF&S, their concern is, well, you know, it might cause danger to our federal funds of what we're trying to do out there by, you know, they usually don't let you do stuff like this when you're on a federally funded project, so. But the second catch was, no, the town's not gonna reimburse you for it either. So anyway, it looks like it would be coming off Hind Drive temporarily, one of those outlaws. But as I said, they haven't had a response back from them.
It'll be like McAllister, where you go over and up through the middle of their property. The truck
Yes.
also have to go up through the middle of theirs.
Yes, yeah. But we'll see how it unfolds, and maybe I'll have some more information for you at the next monthly board meeting. Have you got any questions about that, or have you heard any vicious rumors? No? Okay.
Outlaws sound good.
Yeah, it does. I thought that would be good news. Okay, the next item is the Baker Farms inspection. If I can find my paper.
Mark, is that still a semi-dealership?
Yes, yes it is.
Okay.
I can't find my paper. Did I give it to one of you guys up there? I just had it. Oh, here it is, right in front of me. So, just so that you have the picture in your mind, so whenever Baker Farms gets completed, the sidewalk, street, sewer, water, stormwater, all that becomes the property of the town. Now, any developer, even out here at Dollar General, they put in a short water main and a new fire hydrant. So on any development, they have to, once it's accepted from the town, from that point on, they have to have a 3-year, 10% maintenance bond, which means that they're guaranteeing all that work. Any repairs need to be done to it or anything at all, they're paying for it for 3 years after the town accepts it. So you do have a window of, if there's a road failure, a sidewalk failure, a sewer main collapses, whatever, there is insurance in the form of a maintenance bond that the town has covered. But after that point, it's all yours. You're responsible for upkeep and maintenance, whatever it may be of that, from that point on, okay? So with that being said, of course it is in the town's best interest to make sure that it's all installed properly, okay? So I contacted BF&S about providing inspection services for Baker Farms, and this would be covered under our general services agreement that we have with BF&S, okay? Their estimate, let me find this. Their estimate, and it's my understanding they would like to have this project completed, not have the houses built per se, but have the streets built and everything done by the end of this year, the end of 2020. So I said, so estimate 2 hours a day, 5 days a week for 8 months, okay? That cost would be approximately $61,000. According to Town Ordinance 2014-5, those costs are to be paid or reimbursed to the town by the developer. So, I don't have the knowledge and the time or the equipment to inspect that. You know, you need to test the concrete, you need to do air test on the mains, all kinds of stuff. So I would not be comfortable, nor do I have the time to be the inspector out there. I don't know how you did it in the past, but I'm recommending to you that we hire BF&S to be the inspector for this project. Now, you have to remember that, you know, so I'm saying 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, 8 months. That's an estimate. I mean, there might be a week where the weather's bad and there's nobody out there working, so there'd be no need for inspection, you know? But I had to at least have a base number to refer to so that I had something to give you to consider. I would prefer that you would make a decision on this tonight. I don't know how you feel, if it's a bad idea, good idea, or what, but this is what I'm requesting from you anyway.
I make a motion that we hire BFNS to be the inspector on the Baker Farms project.
I'll second that.
I have one question before we, so I've noticed that sometimes when they build subdivisions, it's like, here's a sidewalk and then houses, and then like more sidewalk and more houses. So they're gonna do like all the roads and all the sidewalks and then fill in houses? Like it won't be like some sidewalks and then,
No,
Okay.
no, they will all be in before, yeah, they'll all be installed before.
oh,
Yeah.
there's been a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mark, would this be like a thing where we pay and then I send it to
Yes,
Greg?
and in the ordinance, it actually says that the bill would be submitted by the inspector to the town. The town pays it, and then we submit it to the developer, and they have 30 days to reimburse us, is how it actually reads. Okay, so it'd be another one of the things like we get with the purchase orders, whether it's through that or
But they don't have
Yost
to do,
Drive.
like with the review plan, they don't have to pay a certain amount upfront?
not the inspector, no.
Well, no, like, does Greg need to pay us a certain amount upfront for these inspection fees?
No.
And to bill him after those?
No, not for the inspection fees, it doesn't. Okay, so the last item I have on there, just that I'll be taking off a couple days at the end of the month there, I think I've got it listed on there. So, any questions about all that? Okay. Thank you very much.
Comments from the residents? Or utilities?
Mike Bullis, 740 Shady Lane. Nothing against all the help in town, but every time I drive past Buck Creek Liquor, the back of the liquor store, there's a pile of leaves. They've been there since fall. I just think it looks a little trashy when somebody comes through town and sees that. If they could just take a half hour and clean up the leaves or something, you know, make it look a little more presentable, I guess. And then I just hope they work on the streets, so that's it.
Cindy Marsh, 749 Shady Lane. I just have a question about Malakis's bills. You said that you billed on, what, 14,000 or something?
We billed
Or
on
9,000? Now, I know when we signed our utility service agreement, that there was also an agreement with the church where the town was going to have to pay Malakis 16,000 some. So have we paid that, and when will that get billed?
Are you talking about this? Oh, yeah, they've already been paid.
The church
Has
paid.
Malakis?
Oh, no, that's part of your guys' things where we need to calculate it, or, that's what we were talking about
We
earlier.
got a lot of stuff. Malacus owes us a lot of money. We got to
Yeah,
add it all up.
that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's part of that, what we were discussing earlier.
Okay. All
It's
right.
the
'cause there's-
reimbursement agreement.
Yeah, okay, because there's also more Yasmin
Correct.
too, right? Okay.
Well, that should be the last one that's in the claim docket, right? That was like maybe 100 or something. Yeah, that should be the end of that, from what I understand.
Comments? I think I made a mistake earlier when Ron made the motion to pay the people that fixed that replaced the pump at Lee Engineering. Because in the Indiana code, I was reading this before, it says that, that it has to be, it says only if the claim was filed in the manner prescribed by IC 511.10.2 at least 5 days before the meeting. So should we not have made a motion to pay that?
I'm not familiar with what you're referring to.
They didn't provide, they mailed us, they've already done the work
Mhm.
a couple weeks ago. Or actually last month, because Mark brought it up at last month. So to sit here, we would be getting past that 30-day threshold where we're supposed to pay bills in a timely manner. So if I would have sat here and waited until next month to try and pay that invoice, it's gonna look bad on the board. So that's why, like, you guys want the claims docket Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of the week prior. Well, what am I supposed to do when there's bills that are flowing in? So if they would have gotten that invoice in, I couldn't have put it in the claims docket. So that's why I presented at a meeting, so you guys can go ahead and approve it, so that I can go ahead and pay it.
But when did they send it? When did they send that bill?
I don't know, look, or what's the date on, where's Mark? What's the, oh,
I'll give it
I'm
back to
sorry,
you.
my bad.
You know, and I don't know if this helps, but it was a
It says due date 4/5.
emergency repair.
Yeah, and that is in the ordinance that I can pay emergency,
Okay, I
things.
just wanted to make sure we're,
Because it is 5 words.
yeah,
But emergency stuff, you
I guess
can
it
do
is.
anything.
okay, I just want to make sure. Okay. We need to wait for it now. Okay.
Let's adjourn and go on.
Oh, I need a motion.
Make a motion to adjourn the utility board.
Second.
Been a motion made and seconded, all in favor say aye. Aye.
County board meeting come to order. Roll call, everybody's here. We have 5 of us. Approval of the minutes, need a motion to approve the February 10th, 2020 minutes.
Make a motion to approve the February 10th meeting minutes.
Second?
Got a motion and a second to approve the February 10th minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no.
Ashley, are you and I?
Motion carried.
Minutes.
Thank you.
Need a motion to approve the February 20th, 2020 minutes.
Make a motion to approve the February 20th, 2020 minutes.
Second?
Got a motion and a second to approve the February 20th minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say no. Motion carries. I want to ask you a question here. The claims docket, the fund report, the appropriations report, the allowance docket, approval of revenue report, could we move them to the end of the meeting? Yes. So because they're going to take a while, we might have to sign some things individually where the people can get going at the end there, so they won't have to sit through all this. Okay, the clerk treasurer report.
Okay. So, for me, if you guys will look, there is a, letter of engagement with Financial Solutions for the year 2020. So it kind of looks like the same, letter of engagement that they did last year. You can see that on the last page where it shows the fees not to exceed the 7,000 for the sustainability revenue and spending plan. I had asked them about that and they said that's just a max. Obviously, they've already done that 5-year, but they'll continue to update it, especially when like this McAllister stuff keeps happening, because we don't know where we're gonna end up sitting. Every year is gonna be a question depending on what happens with McAllister's. So Greg was gonna be here tonight because they called me last week because Reed had called them and asked if the council was good to speak with them regarding this road, and I told them yeah, because they do work for us, they just don't want to have 7 people messaging them, so they just prefer that like if the council does have certain questions to have me email them. But you guys are good to call them regarding Yost Road. Greg wanted to be here so that he could kind of do a Q&A to answer people's concerns regarding Yost Road and the funding and all of that. But he got called to court from the state, so he wasn't able to. So he would like to come on March 30th at 6 p.m. and kind of just do like, I guess, just like a work session so that the public can ask, the board can ask, if like the redevelopment commission, people wanted to come, since they're involved in the newest road, so that everybody can kind of get their answer and see what our outlook is regarding, especially with the McAllister. I also want to remind everybody that they saved us a 16% tax increase, because I don't think me, Lena, Alex, Ron, Donna maybe, or LaDonna, that maybe I don't think any of us could have caught what was happening with McAllister's. Something with their, like how they report their personal property or whatever, so their asset. So it caused ours, the towns, to go down to $9 million. So we're hoping to gain that revenue back in other ways, but it's really on a base by base. And I think the great thing about Financial Solutions is that they are Tippecanoe County's financial advisor, so they have their foot in the door and know the stuff that's going on. So I think that they are a great asset. They helped me when I brought up to the board last year regarding looking at ways to kind of get us or gain us more money, especially on our bank account, because February of 2019, we had only collected $699 on our $1.6 million that was sitting in our account. And when I made that change, and Financial Solutions called the bank and made sure that I wasn't missing something, or that, you know, there was something that I wasn't seeing. So far for February of 2020, we've already collected $4,281 just in interest on that bank account. So they've helped me. I think that it's been a huge, especially with this Holyost Road and with McAllister, I think that they're gonna save us. So again, and I also want to note that I have talked to them numerous times. They've helped me on budget. I call them if I need help on something, and I've never received a bill separate for phone calls or emails. The only thing that they've ever billed us for is the sustainability in the budget. So I think that's also another great thing about them is I've talked to them, I can't even tell you how many times.
What did we spend with them last year? Was it around?
I think it was just
11,000
this, maybe it was under 7,000 for the sustainability, and then the budget was maybe 2,000. I can get you
I thought it was 10.5 or something.
it might have been after everything, but again, that was them doing all of those first things, but they've already done the sustainability plan, so there shouldn't be.
Now, what's Retha? What are you going to have her do?
I don't have Retha. Retha just came and helped me do the end of year financial, because it was cheaper to have her help me, because that's something that clerks don't do except for on an annual basis. So since when I took over, it was such a mess then. Literally, Retha did everything last year because there was just so much and we were on a time crunch. So Retha only came and helped me do the annual. Other than that, it's now just Financial Solutions. And I talk to them on a weekly basis and have never been billed any extra besides those, so. And I know Reed has talked to them about also being their financial advisor for the redevelopment commission, and they have agreed to do that as well if the redevelopment, now that it's more new people, they've agreed to be there so that everything's tied in together and there's only one financial person looking at it as a whole.
Well, that'll just be for you as the treasurer of the redevelopment commission. But
Well,
they have in there assistance to the economic development and TIP as needed. I don't plan on them doing like anything outside of legal compliance.
Right. And they did say that it would be a separate letter of engagement with the redevelopment commission, but I mean, regarding like Yost Road, that's a town thing if the board's up here. But members of the redevelopment commission could like come to that work session and ask questions to help, you know, with their concerns or what they handle.
Did their hourly rates change?
No, I don't think so.
Pretty sure it was lower than mine last year, but now it's at 210.
I'd have to check, because like I said, I've not received anything. And usually I'll either talk to Michael, who is their son, who isn't as high as Greg, or Charlie.
Yeah.
So Greg is one of the people that I usually talk to Michael.
Not sure, financial advisor should be higher than the town attorney.
So last year it made sense that we would need him because the budget and all the new things that are happening.
We still need them for the
But
budget.
I thought you needed him for the budget because you'd never done a budget and you needed some guidance and,
No, they
Whatever.
literally saved the town from a 16% tax increase. If it wasn't for them finding that and knowing what to look for, we all would have the whole town up here screaming at us because their property taxes would have went up 16%. So they're CPAs, they're obviously a whole nother level than you or I or Reed or,
what do we need them for specifically this year though? If they've done the sustainability plan,
the sustainability plan is gonna constantly change regarding McAllister's, where we're sitting at, taxes, revenue, if we lose revenue. I mean, none of us, every town should have a financial advisor. From what I understood, Steve Brock used to kind of be the as-needed financial advisor, and he's the one who did the utility rates. And like I said, the budget's not until, what, September-ish? And like I said, so I've had them for, what, half a year, almost a year, and the only thing that they've ever billed me for. So like, they've helped me with stuff on Gateway, State Board of Accounts. I can text them and call them at any time whenever I'm having any financial questions or needing of, hey, can we pay this out of here? Or how are we going to come up with this extra X amount of money to pay for like the CCG and transfers and all of that kind of stuff. It's the same thing of like when you're going to a tax prep person to help you make sure that you're making the financial best choices.
It looks like a lot of this proposal, like number 2, 3, 4, and 5, was done last year. And what I have, he seems awful expensive to me for a consultant, but he gave us this report last year, and it seems like, I even asked you, and you said you didn't understand a third of it. I didn't understand it. I don't think the board really. He just sort of jabbered on, and it's sort of generic on some of it.
Well, it's very detailed, but again, just because you have that projection, again, if we lose that revenue from McAllister, that's really gonna hurt us. And right now, we're getting it, I forget exactly how we're getting it differently, but if it changes, that could put us in a very financial strain, and that's not something any of us clerk treasurers could have sat here and done with the naked eye. And he's already working with the county, trying to help us get funding for Yost Road, to find ways to help us save money and not go bankrupt trying to pay for Yost Road.
On what he submitted to us last year, if we were to be more engaging, he could fill in some blanks on a lot of that paperwork.
Well, I know, we don't have a,
But it was the first time we were exposed to it, so we really didn't know.
and a couple audience people asked questions about Yost Drive, and he said, I don't want to answer that now.
Because, you're 4 years out, but again, McAllister is gonna make us or break us. And again, the part that I'm saying is, all of the times that I've talked to them, I've never been billed for any of it. The only thing that they've ever billed us for is the actual approved budget work and the,
Yeah, but that was a $10,000 bill you got. I mean, they do, it's like Gumball and Associates and all them, they, for $6,000 here, for $8,000 or $12,000, they do a certain amount.
right, and we
of
shouldn't be looking at those bills
they
this
do a-
year.
They do a certain amount of emailing and talking to you, just like insurance people, whatever, so.
Well, they've talked to me on things regarding other than sustainability or budget.
But it's gotta be somebody that the council can call up. We need the financial advisor as much as anybody that can call up without going through you every time and asking this guy some questions.
And I just sat here and said that Reed called them and.
On Yost Drive, you said, limited on Yost Drive.
Right, if you guys want to call them and you all be at their disposal, then yes, they're gonna start billing us. By only answering to one person a majority of the time, or only having one person call them, then that's causing us not to get a bill.
Well, I'd like to talk to him direct myself and get a direct answer.
And that's fine, and that's why I said, obviously, he was planning on being here tonight, but the state, he was a witness or something to some kind of case.
How often can he be in a meeting before the town?
Usually whenever I sit here and ask him if he can be at one. As long
So
as
he's pretty flexible, so.
either him or Charlie or Michael can come. It's not just
So
Rick.
the townspeople or anybody accumulates questions over the next couple months or something,
Mhm.
that would be the time to hopefully prepare them and let them address it.
Yeah, I would say now is the time to ask questions because they did have large flat fees that we paid last year. So when consultants have that, then they're not gonna bill you for every phone call and email. Now, if we don't opt into one of those in year 2 or 3, you know, we'll save significant money, but you are gonna get billed more for phone calls, emails, you know, meetings. That's just how it works, you know, I mean, they're gonna get their money one way or the other, but now is a good time because we, you know, it's the beginning of the engagement, they did a 5-year report, we paid for that. You know, we're still trying to process that.
I'm thinking of the process of the percentage of growth that we're having, the amount of money coming through, and that we're retaining basically for, in part for fiduciary services, because of the cost of all these things and controlling them. I understand Ron's frustration that we just can't pick up the phone and call, and to be wise about their cost effectiveness, and the fact that he's not only handling Dayton, he's handling several places throughout the state. So,
But I think the council ought to be able to pick up the phone now and then and ask you some
well,
questions.
And that's
he just made a
not,
very good
never
point.
said that was a problem. But you also need to realize if we're gonna start handing out money to everybody, and also when it comes to wanting to lower water bills and stuff like that, this is where they come in. We can all sit here and look at numbers all day long, but they're the ones that are gonna sit here and say, hey, you need to slow your roll. I mean, we're only into March, and look at all the money that you guys are voting to hand out.
It wouldn't be
It's
different.
a fraction of what we voted for the handout last year, Michelle. What I'm concerned about is you told us last year when we hired him, nobody could talk to him at all. They had to come there. You even told me that you told him, Ashley or any of us couldn't talk to him.
And if you remember correctly, you 110% agreed because you said that no council member should talk to them because you wanted to make sure that I was getting accurate information and didn't have a council member in their pocket trying to persuade them another
Things have
way.
changed a lot that this board needs to know. I don't think we're getting all the right information, so we need
Well,
to be
the
able
thing,
to
the
talk to
reason that I
them.
have the phone calls, because I think there are different areas that they cover. So, you know, if they are advising Michelle regarding doing her reports for State
Yeah.
Board of Accounts, which is, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, where that it started, you know, the council doesn't need to be involved in that. There are other times when the council does need to be involved, and, you know, certainly Yost Road is one of those. So, I mean, I think that that's where you guys are having some disagreements that I
Can we wait on this till it comes out next month? See what-
Yeah, and I can sit, so if you guys wanna set the meeting, I'll let him know, and then I will let him know that you guys looked at his fees, and then I'll look at the previous engagement and see, and then he can address it or resubmit something. Because I questioned the 7,000, I was like, well, wait a minute, you've already done it, we paid that, and they said, well, that's just
Yeah, then
in
it's
case the
out.
updating, it doesn't mean, just because you see that number, it doesn't mean that that's what we're gonna
Seems
end up
like
paying
every,
out.
from Umball to every organization we've had out here, it's always cost us more than what they originally say. Umball started at 7,000, then 10 to do the tip and annexation. Now it's a lot more, it'll be twice after both of them.
Actually, they gave us a discount, so we did not pay, because the
Yeah, but
thing
that
says
was only for the
15,000.
tip, that was only for the tip. It wasn't for any annexation or anything, so we still got that part to do too.
But Jason said that it wouldn't go over that agreed amount.
They did change. They
They did
said they
change
had a
it.
do not exceed of 15 for both of them, and then he changed it to a do not exceed of 10, so we got a little bit of a break on the TIF, but they're wanting a do not exceed of 10 more.
So that brings it
So
up to 20.
it could exceed the 15.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not talking about just him, just in general, like him, like you say, it's his second year and he's increased the rates already. You
Well,
know,
doesn't
so-
every, like, same with Reed, he wanted to increase his in his second year, he gave us his account, but the board voted to go back to
No,
six.
he didn't.
Well, you wanted to do
Yeah, poor
hourly,
guy.
that would have increased it, if we
I have
paid
an
you
hourly
hourly.
rate, and it's
It's
the
the
same,
same.
like, that's not something.
Right,
you can-
but you didn't wanna be paid by the quarterly with 50 hours. You wanted a flat
The
rate.
guy ought to do it the second year for the same rate as he did it the first year, for God's sakes.
And like I said, it's no big, I mean, I can sit here, if he wants to come to a meeting, and said he would have been here tonight to answer your questions, but
When is the meeting that you're talking about that we can set
he
up?
said that he could be here March 30th at 6. I believe it's on Monday,
Yes.
Does that work for everybody?
When is it?
March 30th at 6 p.m. So then everybody could get their questions together, we can let
Just
them
seems like-
re-element.
My only concern is, we are dishing out money for a
Exactly.
lot of things, and you've got a lawyer, and we've got tip people, we've got annexation people, we don't even know what tax money's this gonna bring in for any of it, we don't know. what
Exactly,
it's-
but you guys are
Let me
voting to spend the
finish.
money.
Can I finish my sentence?
We need to know if we have the
We
money.
need to, we are spending a lot, and all these professionals now, just because we're doing Yoast Strive, I mean, a lot of people in the past from Steve Brock saved us thousands, insurance people saved us thousands. A lot of people save us thousands of dollars, that's their job, they come in and look at it, so we just gotta be careful, I think. We just, we spent 20,000 on a church, we spent 6,000 on it moving a telephone pole. I mean, all these things are
And again,
happening.
nobody asked the financial officer if we even have the money.
Yeah,
Mark was
right.
talking about how we're already over budget.
For the pole,
Yeah,
yeah, you sat there and said about church, but not about the pole, so.
because the church gets paid out of utilities. A poll is a completely different fund.
Well, we'll go next meeting, right, and look at it.
So then, tell Mark, or not Mark, tell Greg, March 30th at 6. Confirmed, everybody?
Works for me.
Yeah,
Reed, you go with that?
it works.
You said 6,
6 o'clock. 6 o'clock even.
March 30th.
So then the next thing, I have had a did you have a question? Okay. I've had a trash service contact me now 3 times, because they want to bid for trash service. So they wanted me to address the board to see if you guys are looking to bid trash this year, or what is your thought on that? Because if you are, he would like to come to next month's meeting to introduce himself, get the council and the public's, you know, like, what is the town looking for, what are the residents looking for, so that they can give us a proper bid, if that's what you guys are.
We've used the same company for several years now. We used to always bid it out every 2 or 3 years.
And I think this
And it
is.
seems like a lot of people on Facebook aren't really, some are happy, but there's a lot of people not happy. So it seems like we ought to, at least a lot of the stuff, get another, the insurance are getting 3 prices on at least for insurance. So whoever gets it will save us money, hopefully.
So Ron, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think our contract is,
I think it's middle of this year it ends.
June or July,
I think
when it
so,
expires, it's a 2-year contract.
Yep.
We should call that vendor and see if they would renew for the same price, okay? We have language in there where if there's no price changes, then, we can automatically renew if we choose to. The vendor you're talking about was invited to bid at the last contract, and they did not place a bid at that time.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
I can not remember their name.
Trash cans.
Trash cans, yes.
Okay, so you're,
I just know we're having problems right now with our current
Use-
skipping houses, breaking cans constantly, dumping trash, or dumping recycle into
yeah, there's a lot
trash.
of people. But actually,
We're
you're
having
saying
trash in my yard.
we just need to put it out and get new bids or estimates on it.
I don't care one way or another, okay? I think before you bid it, we ought to reach out and see if they will continue with the current rates, okay?
And why-
We got 2 rates last time, okay? And the low bid was significantly lower than the other bid that we received. I mean, it was several dollars per household per month, and not as good as terms. Our current provider did not raise their rates hardly any at all from a contract that they signed originally with the town years prior, I think.
Because we bid it out each time. When I bid it several times, and a lot of times the same contractor got it, but they also sharpened their pencil, and they weren't always necessary, they weren't jumping up as much as they probably would have. Are you saying just see if they'll do it, keep the same price and give it to them? Or are you saying see if they'll do it at the same price, but we still have other estimates? I don't know what you're getting at there.
You know, I think if they do it for the same price, you stay with them, okay?
No, I think we need, I think this town needs it. We have people walking in wanting work here, and I think, so we don't play favorites.
Well, rebid it then.
Yeah,
That's right.
rebid it.
In that case, it's,
Take
you
your
don't
guess.
need to call them, but.
Give these people a chance at least.
Are the trash people, are they the ones that do our dumpsters?
Mhm.
So maybe another company might do more dumpsters, or
Like they're-
it's not just picking
They'll
up.
they'll do whatever you want to pay for.
Well,
Yeah.
They, long time ago, we never had the big dumpsters, and they gave a price, and they offered 2 dumpsters for free. After that, we just had it in the specs, and every company just bid it with the 2 dumpsters. So it sort of became a norm from that, but.
And I know some trash people will pick up anything that you put out, and then some will only take what's in the cans.
But we put it out, you should have a thing we bid it out on, what, the same thing, so each person's looking at the, it used to be a long, long time ago, you got somebody says, I'll pick up 3 cans and 2 trash bags. Somebody said, I'll pick up a bed spring, but not a tree limb, and it got to be a pain. And then we had that, remember that guy with the little dinky truck came around? He promised this and that, and then never picked up anything. So you need to bid it on the same, whether it's insurance or whatever, on the same package. And then you can add on if you feel you need something extra done, you can always add that later.
So if our contract is up in June, then when are you guys, because I'm assuming that needs to be advertised in the paper, that kind of a bid, wasn't it?
You usually did.
So if it's up in June, when,
You can look and see when it's up. It's either June or July, one of the two. You know, a couple months before it's up, we need to start working on it.
so are you guys okay with them coming next month just to introduce themselves and say what they offer, yada yada? Because he wanted to come tonight, and I was like, well, there's no point of coming tonight, let me see where the board is
Let
at.
people
I
come.
thought you were gonna say you got COVID.
I've lived in this town for 35 years, and people have always bashed whoever was picking up trash.
Yeah,
You know, dumpsters breaking or totes breaking, I get that, but, you know, some of those totes in this town are, you know, they've been weekly slammed on the ground for 8, 9 years now.
I know Tammy and I are constantly either texting or calling Luke or emailing him, and I've asked him like, hey, where's everybody's head at, like, what's going on here, this is ridiculous. And I had one resident constantly complaining that they never separate her recycle and her trash. And so I called him, and I guess he said he was gonna follow the driver the next recycle day. I've not heard back about what happened, but
They do a pretty good job, but they do better than some of the past ones. But it seems like lately, last year, there has been a lot more.
Then they're hot and cold, yeah, like you said.
Yeah.
Just the driver, one driver will get out of his cabin, pick a piece of paper up, another one,
won't touch
Yeah,
it.
dump everything on the road.
But you're right, everybody, right.
Yeah, the challenge on the next contract will be, you know, the recycle, you know, the recycle.
Is there a language that they make their bid on? For requirement to go back
We have a bid thing.
I can't hear him.
We have a bid contract in there somewhere.
Yeah,
that
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
it
keep
defines the services that are needed for this town
Yeah.
and what's expected,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and then they bid from that.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the actual I don't know, because I've not
Well,
been
if
here
you
for.
say no matter what, we continue with the person we have.
I can
someone
probably
else
pull
comes
theirs
along.
and just rematch it.
You should have, though, a standard thing to bid on, but maybe it's gone now, I don't know.
Yeah, I would have to.
Hold the last
The,
year.
the contentious part of the last contract was the recycle. And with recycle market being what it was, you know, the high bid, again, we only got 2. They had a lot of language in there tying their fees to the price of recycle, you know, because the price is escalating and you know, they naturally trying to protect themselves.
Yeah,
So-
I read the article, had
Yeah.
a few newspapers about what the county is going through and trying to educate.
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of ripped him, because I'm like, dude, we're paying this money, we're paying extra for recycling. You need to be, I don't waste my time during the week separating my recycle and then it going into the trash.
The problem is, you know, if there's no recycle markets during those days or weeks or months, then that's exactly what happens to the recycle, it goes into regular trash.
But they're all gonna bid it on that they're all in the same position on that recycling, so they'll bid that in the estimate.
Well, that's the good thing about the bidder that we went with last time. They did not have any language in there tying recycle to
Well,
the
then
recycle
you
market.
throw
They
them
picked it
out,
up.
but they should bid it according to what we put out. If they
Well,
wanna
they
change
did.
some odds and ends, then that gives you the leeway to say no.
Well, how about I just get what we have, scan it and email it to you guys, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Because we still have a couple months.
Can add a couple things or two.
Yeah.
They didn't, the one the trash people you had, did they give you poinsettias this year?
Mhm.
Where'd they go? They're never up here.
Yeah, they were all over town hall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I thought they didn't, I thought they were cheating an hour or something.
Oh, no. We made sure Tammy was our water grower. She watered them all for us. So Mark already addressed that FJF service invoice, so I just have two more that I just want the board to go ahead and approve so I can pay it and get it out of the way because it would be over the 30 days. So Mark went and got some pothole patch at Menards on the 4th. And so we've already, because Menards is on top of it, we've got the invoice and it's for $47.88. So I just asked for approval to pay the invoice for Menards for the patch hole, the pothole patch for $47.88.
Make a motion, we pay the Menards bill for a pothole patch.
A second.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Wasn't that in here? Didn't you send that to us?
This is a second round.
Oh, well, pothole patch, okay, sorry.
Got a motion and a second for pothole patch to pay $47. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion passed.
And then the next one is an invoice. Marshall Taylor took in the Ford Explorer to get an oil change at Mike Razor. So I just got the invoice for that, totaling $53.11. So I just asked to pay the Mike Razor invoice for $53.11.
Make a motion, we pay the Razor invoice for $53.11.
I second it.
Got a motion and a second to pay Razor $53.11. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carried.
So another kind of update that I wanted to give everybody, because I kind of put it out there, I think last month, and everybody said that I wasn't telling the truth or whatever. So January 31st of 2019, when I took over as clerk treasurer, our checking account had $1,636,905 in it. And January of 2020, our account has $1,949,199. So since I've taken over, our account has increased by $312,000.
Which account?
The whole bank account.
Yeah, well, we also had 3 loans we're not paying for. $110,000 on one.
We paid them off
150.
last year though. So we had those big payments that still came out.
So there's a reason for this extra money.
No, there will be even more money this year because we won't make those payments.
Yeah, we're collecting interest.
Yeah, and we're collecting $1,500 more a month on interest. What are the other things? So, obviously, as the board knows, we have gone round and round on end through a bunch of different emails the past 2 months. And since nobody wants to come in and talk to me, I guess we're just gonna hash it out here at the meeting. So, some of the things, Jen, how you were requesting the Form 99As. So you said that State Board of Accounts, so it does state that every employee is supposed to have a Form 99A because it shows every single minute that every employee works. The thing is when the board is calling State Board of Accounts and asking them these questions and getting these stats or getting these statutes or the laws, you guys are not giving them the full picture. So when you call State Board of Accounts and say, hey, we've got 23 employees, yet 6 of those people are elected officials, you're not letting them know that out of the rest of those, only 2 of them are full-time. So only 2 of those people are getting vacation, sick time, and holiday pay. So I talked to Susan, and you can call her and confirm with her. Never once has every single employee in this town ever done a Form 99A. Scott does do his own, so you do need to go to him if you want his. So all of the time cards that you guys get, whether it be Mark's, Tammy's, or any of the deputies, they say every minute that they work. So that is acceptable in State Board of Accounts I. And I clarified that with Susan. So as long as that is showing every minute worked, and then like Mark's. So on his time card, and same with Scott, if he takes a holiday, vacation, sick day, or whatever, he marks it on that. So by stating and pulling out all of these State Board of Accounts statutes and everything, since you guys are the supervisors and they're your employees minus Tammy, you can sit there and print that form, as I can see you have it right there. You take the time cards that you already get and you can do it yourself. I mean, that's the thing, it's not my responsibility. So I do Mark's now because Mark asked me to do it. Mark never knew that he was supposed to do it, and then after we all sat down and talked, Mark's already got a lot on his plate. I have a lot on my plate too, but Mark asked me to do it. So Scott is not my responsibility. I'm just the person. I don't sign his time cards. Either you or Ron do. So those time cards that you get are the exact amount of time. So you just take his time cards and you plug it into that sheet. And Mark, if he took a holiday or a vacation, and you can keep track of that, or you can just go to Scott. But to keep asking me for it when I keep trying to explain and telling me that you're getting your information from State Board of Accounts, to get the correct information, you have to be giving them the correct scenario. It was the same thing when Ron came and said that State Board of Accounts told him that you guys at any time can change anybody's benefits or compensation. True, but you guys were not throwing in, by the way, one of those people that I'm trying to take compensation from is the clerk treasurer, and you can't do it. So if you're gonna call State Board of Accounts and get the information.
Michelle, I've called the State Board of Accounts for 16 years, and every darn time you call them, Susan or whatever, they got different answers. And then they tell the council one answer, and they tell the clerk another answer. And sometimes they'll email you, we try to get it in writing. Sometimes they won't put it in writing. They say they'll put it in writing, and they don't. So those people up there aren't I agree with some of the stuff you're saying. But I think when they talk to you, they give one answer. When they talk to me, they give another. When they talk to Reed, they give a third answer. Now,
Well, I
some
know-
things are standard, but I think
I know the
you
clerk
get to
treasurer.
talk to different people up there. And then a lot of these rules have also changed a year
Exactly.
ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Charlie Pride used to tell me what you can do, setting hours, everything, you know, and the rules have changed. Some to your advantage and some mostly to your advantage, but some aren't to your advantage. But anyway, so I don't think anybody's lying here. I think
No, and I'm saying
you
though,
get answers,
so
different
instead of
answers.
us constantly going back and forth, since nobody wants to sit here and have a face-to-face conversation with me, going back and forth by email and not presenting the whole picture, nobody's gonna get anywhere, because the thing is if you're giving the scenario, you have to make sure that you're adding in, whether it's regarding full-time, part-time,
Well-
clerk, treasurer, elected officials. So,
First of all, I think I am, at least, I don't know if you are all the time, but I don't come up here and talk to you because you record people secretly, and I'm not gonna get into that.
who do I record secretly besides you?
Everything that I've
You
read
do
though,
me, so
But
I'm
it's
not
the law,
gonna-
I have the right to do it, and
Yeah.
any of you. So just put this out
I
here,
know.
hold on.
Yeah, you got the
To
right
put this
do
out
it.
here on public record, if that's what you all are worried about, come in and put your phones on record, I don't care. But we're not gonna get anywhere if everybody's refusing to work with me. You can come in here and record our conversation, I don't care. We're never gonna get anywhere if you guys
We email
won't
all
work.
the time. Instead of talking, we just email you.
And look what emails have gotten us, 1:30 in the morning emails, cussing and calling names and belittling people. It's not getting us anywhere. We're in the 3rd month,
All right.
and we're not getting
everything
anywhere.
I've read though, it talks about, I don't think I read it, but you have to use their prescribed forms, and then it says, this can be done by 99A, 99B. It doesn't say, time card.
The time card is a State Board of Accounts prescribed form.
Well, some of
But
this,
it doesn't, in everything I'm reading, it says that the employee service record needs to be kept, and it gives these forms, 998. I know you don't have one, you're elected, but if you do payroll, shouldn't you have them?
No, I have the time
Why?
cards.
So who's looking at Scott's?
You were,
Well, you're doing payroll.
it's not my responsibility. You guys sign off, I get his signed time cards. Scott signs the deputies, I sign Tammy's, and somebody should be signing Mark's.
So does Tammy,
I sign Tammy's.
That's a supervisor.
and you don't keep one of these for her either?
No, because she doesn't get holiday or sick time. She clocks in and out on a time card that shows every single minute.
So you do have Mark's though?
Yes, and well, I started doing Mark's, yes, Mark has a copy of it. If Mark wants to give it to you, that's his call. I'm not his supervisor. You guys are his supervisor. This is just for
Well,
me
you
to
have
keep.
it. So why not just give it to us?
I have it on a digital form. That's their private service record. You guys have the time card. You can do the same thing yourself.
well, Michelle, if you're doing it for Mark, why would you run a copy and give it to
I do it
Jen if she's
digitally.
asking for it?
I do it digitally.
Well, run it off the thing and
But I'm
you
not
can't
her
make a copy
secretary.
from a. Oh, okay, let's move on here. You got anything else, Michelle?
Yes. So all of the documents that you guys are also requesting, in the one email, Jen, I think you can realize that all of the things that you've requested that I please put in the packet are already in the packet. So those are null and whatever.
The bank
Yeah.
rec, I cannot do the bank rec.
You cannot do the bank rec, period, because the bank rec that you get only shows the outstanding invoices. If you were to get the bank statement and look at the bank rec, you're gonna sit here and scratch your head for 6 hours because there's a reason why you're seeing those
And then-
outstanding invoices.
And then you would tell me why, right? Is there not? I didn't know we were having this.
I
But I
sent
should
an
be
email
able
that we
to
would talk about
read-
every meeting.
I should be able to rerun that bank rec.
No, you
That's-
can't,
that's
because it's
already-
in Keystone. You do not have access to Keystone, you're not allowed to have access to Keystone because you're an elected official. If you were to come into my office, like I have asked you numerous times, I have said I will sit down and show you what the process is. Sit in here, have Reed come in, I don't care, because I'm not gonna spend 4 years going back and forth and getting emails on my Sunday evening and waking up to emails at 1:30 in the morning. So, in Keystone, in Fund, it pulls up the bank rec of all the transactions. Then I match it up with the bank statements. When you guys get that bank rec, the only thing that you're seeing is outstanding balances. So therefore, it's not in the bank statement because it has not cleared the bank statement. So, you're looking at nothing. We have stuff, every single bank rec that you guys are gonna be getting shows checks that have not cleared our account for 2 years because they're still outstanding.
Don't all of these reports tie into the bank rec?
Nope.
How do they not?
The bank rec is simply the receipts and the checks that clear and go into the bank account. That is all it is. And you're matching up what's put into fund. And again, if you would come into my office, because nobody's sitting on this board and nobody's sitting in this audience can show you how to look at all these or understand them. So I'm more than willing, like I said, to
Anything else, Michelle?
yeah, I'm still going, thank you. So, you guys are already receiving time cards. Is everybody wanting time cards? Because right now, only Jen and Ron are getting them. Besides the police, you all get the police because Scott sends them, so I just want to make sure that I'm not neglecting anybody time cards.
I'm good.
Also, I thought I'd also put out, because there has been so much Facebook accusations and drama and I'm a liar, yada, yada, yada. So this whole table situation, so there's no more questions, it's coming straight from the horse's mouth. On February 4th, Stan and Ron came in here and Mark helped you guys move the tables from here to here. That day, you guys did place the table exactly the way it is with my chair there. I came in that evening because it was a Tuesday to work my evening shift and found the table exactly the way it was. Ron had told me numerous times that the reason why he wanted this table setting back here was because he wanted it the way it was for 20 years. So I sat here and I
The
pulled up.
table here, this table, not the auxiliary stuff, this table back,
Right.
just the general idea in this corner. Okay,
The
we
table
just
setup.
moved it from there, spun it around and moved it
Okay.
right here.
Oh, I'm making
Okay, so-
everything public as you've been wanting, saying that I've been refusing to. So I pulled up YouTube videos of when Ron and Lena were clerk. And Ron and Lena, when they were clerk, they all sat at this table. Every single one of them, all 5 board members, the clerk treasurer,
Yeah,
and the town
we
attorney.
stopped doing it because it's so darn crowded, you couldn't even look here, you got papers, you couldn't move. And that's why when you sat over there, why didn't you sit at this table over there?
When Reed wasn't there, I would sit there.
No, when
Yes.
Reed was there,
Oh.
Reed is here, when Reed was there,
Right.
why didn't you sit at that table over there?
Because that's how it was set up when I took
Well,
over.
why didn't you complain and gripe and say, I want to sit at the big table then? Why now? Because you are so mad because we moved it from there to here, you can't stand it, so you're bringing that up.
No,
and
I'm
making
just
it
sitting here
thing.
putting on public record because
Just
you
move
and the
on,
watchdog
Ron.
are accusing me of being a
No,
liar.
you took it, you dragged that away from
Can I
there, you
finish the
took
timeline,
picture.
Ron? This is my report.
Well,
Thank you.
don't lie, please.
I'm not lying, I have the video on my phone.
Yeah.
So anyways, so February 4th, I come in, I sit here and find the table the way it was. Yes, I do not like the table looking like I am a little child sitting at the Thanksgiving table, the way it is not exactly lined up the way that it was where it all looked like one table. So I took the table, moved it over in front of the case, and moved my chair where Reed is sitting, and put Ashley next to Stan, so everybody was sitting there. And it stayed that way. Stan walks in to get his board packet on February 7th. Tammy and I were sitting in the office. We watched Stan on the video. He did a double take 3 times because he was trying to figure out what the heck was going on. Didn't say anything, walked out. That Saturday, so that was Friday, so February 8th, Ron and Stan come in, and I have the video. Instantly come over, pull my chair away from where Reed's sitting, and slams my name tag right on the chair, and leaves it. Does not pull that table back, so you did not put it back the way it was, and don't tell me you did, because I've got the video. I have the video of you doing
We
it,
didn't put it back, I agree with you. We
Correct.
left it over there because
but
you.
that's not what the
because
watchdog
you-
was saying.
Because you put it over there and you put stacks of papers on it.
There was 2
And
pieces of paper.
Stan and I talked about, should we move it back? We decided not to, because it'd probably make you more mad moving it back here. So
Oh, yeah.
you took, and you drag your chair out, put it over there, and you take pictures and send it all across the state, all
Did
across
you
Facebook.
not hear what I
and
just
everything.
said? I sat here and said, I have the video of Stan pulling it out and putting my name tag there.
Okay,
And then I
whoever-
also have the video of you leaving
Whoever pulled it out, it doesn't matter. You took a picture of that.
the way that
didn't
you
take-
guys left
You
it.
didn't take, well, we left it with a table there. You moved
No.
the table,
Would you like me to pull
Michelle.
the video right now?
You moved the table originally, right?
Exactly, on February
You moved the
4th.
table originally
On
then.
February 4th.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. You moved it once, we weren't gonna put it back because you would be even madder. So we left the table over there.
So you
could
disrespected
move
me and just sat my chair
We
there.
didn't disrespect anything. We were doing wiring under here. And
No.
we had to pull, if you look at the
No.
video, you pulled the
Yeah.
things back.
Mhm.
But we set the chair over there, Michelle. We pulled it out from here and arranged these around with all the microphones.
So what did my chair sitting there have to do with you guys rearranging? You didn't have a problem standing on the antique cupboard over there or drilling holes in top of the table.
That's right.
All right,
Because-
let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on, for God's sake.
I'm just saying, I have video to prove it, so sitting here
Yeah.
calling me a
Well,
liar.
you did it,
You moved it.
you moved
Exactly.
it, admit it, you lied to everybody about us, we did not disrespect you.
You sat here and left it out.
Okay, that's enough right now. Let's go on with this meeting.
So don't call me a liar, I have the video
Okay.
right here.
The next thing on here is the town
I'm
attorney.
sorry that you sleep at meetings,
Town
so.
attorney, Scott Taylor.
Lies.
I'm not a liar.
Oh,
I don't lie, I have
You lie
facts.
all the time.
That's
You lie on
why,
your emails, you lie to us, and you
Oh,
lie everywhere.
that's why you committed a crime in your position, Ron.
Scott Taylor.
yeah.
All right.
Give up.
Oh, and you refused to sign the easements, so everybody knows.
All right, first item on my list is resolution, need the town council to approve the confirmatory resolution. So the Dayton Redevelopment Commission has met and sign the confirmatory resolution. So what that means is that that's the end process for the TIF district. That document has been recorded with the Topeka County Recorder. And then once I get that original back, we'll file that with the auditor and the Department of Local Government Finance. So we just need you guys to sign the resolution, which is approving that. So we have a motion. Yep, we have a motion to approve, and then I just need a number, Michelle, resolution number 2020 do you keep the ordinance book?
I do, but you didn't ask me, so just make it free.
Okay, you look.
Sure. Absolutely.
I make a motion to approve this.
You can't approve it if you don't have an ordinance number.
She's getting,
That's right, she has another door job.
Seriously.
Oh, wait, I got mine. Oh, yes, seriously.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I know. So horrible.
Isn't this getting a little out of hand?
That's fine. Yep. Just I didn't have to sit at my sit-down table. It's 4.
Need a motion to approve or resolution number 2020-4 regarding the establishment of the 38 at 65 economic development area.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2020-4 regarding the establishment of the TIF area 65 and 38.
38 at 65
38 at 65.
economic development area.
Economic development area.
Second.
got a motion and a second to approve resolution 2020-4. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. No. Motion carried.
So. Yes, I do. Ron, you wanted me to give an update on annexation, so I have been in communication with Dean at Baker Tilly, and he is working on his part, which is basically the parcel list, and I have drafted the petition for annexation. So it's really just getting that finalized. I'm gonna send that to Dean and copy you guys on it. And then we'll just need to send it out and, see if everyone's willing to sign or not, we'll go from there.
So it's on a fast track.
Yeah. And remember that it's on a fast track as long as it's voluntary. It's gonna slow down quite a bit because of the additional meetings that we'll have to have if it's not all voluntary.
Okay.
Anything else? Any questions on the annexation?
Utilities, easements.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, last meeting, town council passed a motion for Ron to sign the utility easement for the church. So Ron, you're gonna sign that, correct? Okay.
I'll sign it later.
Well, you can just go ahead and notarize it if you have your stamp with you, Ron, or Reed, because he's refused to sign with me. I'm not gonna play these games.
I mean, I can notarize. I don't have my stamp with me, but I can notarize it.
I'll get it later, we'll get it.
If Mr. Kohler is unwilling to sign the utility easements, is it appropriate to have our vice president or president of utilities sign those agreements?
Actually, I said I'd sign it, I'm just not gonna, I'll sign it after the meeting, okay? I don't know what her problem and your problem is.
Because Reed sent us an email asking for us to sign it, so we didn't have to chase everybody after the meeting. And you said, I'm not signing a damn
You
thing.
didn't tell me you had to do it before the meeting, so.
Oh, well, anybody can read their email. Isn't that what you said?
We're asking.
That's fine.
Okay, Reed, we'll
Let's
get
move on.
together here,
Yeah.
okay? Please.
Make sure it's in right.
Well, you were asked to sign a while back, and
I did sign it a while back. I signed all of it, Ashley,
so why are we re-signing them?
because I put on there.
I don't, it's,
Yeah,
it's
just,
my
I
time.
already
Let's
signed
move
it,
on.
and there's a typographical thing, so we're re-signing.
I don't think so.
Okay, why do you think so?
I think it was an alteration, which is the reason why they have to be re-signed.
Yeah, I asked DFNS if I could put on there for water only and sewage only, and DFNS said yes.
No,
Yeah.
Yeah,
no.
I don't think so.
Well, he's,
Ron Francis told you not to do it.
Sorry.
no, he didn't.
Yes, he did, so did Reed.
So,
I'd already signed
so
it.
is this another delay tactic, or, you know? It seems pretty simple, you just press your
Ashley,
name on it.
Ashley,
Just
I
move on,
think it
Ron.
still ought to have water only on one side and sewage, and I don't see why you can't add that on there. BFNS said you could. When I went to the meeting at the church, he said you could. Later, Reed said if they can't file it that way or something, he'll just send me a copy of the cover sheet. And then you said you couldn't send that. What was that reason? You had to redraft the thing up or
I
something?
think the technical term is it.
Let him answer the question,
Well, let's let
Michelle.
people know that you did something illegal, Ron.
Yeah.
I didn't
You
do
altered
anything, I
a
didn't do
legal
anything.
executed document.
I did it in front of BFNS, I added that it's water
No, you
only.
didn't. You did it right in front of Mark and Tammy,
Did it in this office,
in this office.
after they had already signed all the
Yeah,
paperwork.
back here, but wasn't BFNS back here?
No,
You can't write on legal documents after the other parties already signed them.
it wasn't your document to
You
alter.
can sign, you can
I
add
thought
anything on
that
there.
the signature page was clear and didn't have any handwriting on it, so that we could just reprint a clean copy of the other pages, but I didn't have a scanned copy. So the reason that it changed was because of the signature page.
But when you said do it, I did it, that's what.
Yeah, I agree.
So my point is, you know, is this gonna happen again, and delay everybody again for 30 days?
Just let me worry about it.
Yeah, actually, let him work it out. I was the one that bargained for the whole thing to begin with, why would I not sign it?
Oh, yes. Thanks.
You sure did. All right,
No, that's the
Ray, you
only
got
other-
anything else?
No, Scott will address it, but I have started my initial review of things that Marshall Taylor has asked me, and that will be on my list. I'm gonna plan to try to meet with him this week. I just didn't get a chance, so that's a list of things, but Dayton police policies, animal ordinance, regarding others. That's all I have.
Marshall Taylor?
Good evening. Yes, I am here. Talked way back before. Any questions on the activity reports you received for February? If not, we move to item 2. The 2 newest officers we hired, Matt Devine and Austin Burris, have completed 6 months. I would like to move them to full-time status now, just allowing them to get off their probationary salary rate up to the full-time rate. I don't think we have to make a motion, just your concurrence, that we go ahead and take care of that.
Yeah.
You? Michelle, you heard that?
Yep.
That'll be the 18th, is their six-month mark. As Reed referred to, over the course of the last 5 years, I've implemented or changed, altered, or created several new departmental policies to adjust to current times, and Reed and I will be going over those when he gets time. So I was hoping to get that on the agenda tonight, but we need to meet and go over those. A couple things I do want to bring to your attention. One is the animal control ordinance. That's kind of a priority right now due to the fact that we as a town have adopted the county's animal control ordinance by reference. That is the only animal control ordinance we have. They recently changed and amended, modified their entire animal control ordinance at the first of the year. So in effect now, we don't have a reference to anything but an old animal control ordinance of the county. So that is one of the things we need to adjust and create and amend our new ordinance to reflect that. So, again, we will have to create that ordinance, and there's a couple of items that we'll go over when we have our meeting to do that. The last ordinance that we were looking at, Mr. Kohler asked me to look into our weapons ordinance. There was some confusion on the wording of that ordinance, confusing on my part as to how it is interpreted, and it is worded very, a lot of conflicting wording in it, so I think that we could clean that ordinance up a little bit. Want to make sure we're in compliance with state law as how it regulates how we mandate the carrying of weapons, particularly in the town hall is what we're talking about. That weapons ordinance discusses other things like firing, prohibiting firing weapons in towns, things like that, but the carrying of weapons in the town hall is what we were trying to address and look at to see what we can change. So again, that's the other ordinance that we referred to that we're going to be looking at. That's all I have.
Thank you. So it is new and old business. Anybody have anything?
It's not really, is this for?
There's a golf cart ordinance in there and anything you want.
Well, after last meeting, Ashley had just mentioned looking into board docs. I don't know if this is considered old business. And I did, and their like cheapest rate was, and for like their bare minimum was $3,500 a year, which I know is bad. So if you guys wanted, I learned that there's a lot of options for board management software. So I don't know if you guys want to keep looking into it. It might be less expensive for what we need. Because this one, it could do a lot, but I think we don't need all the things it could do. So maybe that's why there might be something less expensive that would fit us better maybe, if you guys think that's something that would be helpful.
I mean, is there other companies out there?
Yeah, tons. I mean, I don't know, about tons. At least like 10 probably that I saw, but I don't know. I didn't really look into them too much.
I think it's worth checking into.
Okay.
I think there's a need there, and
Can't hurt to look.
I don't know what something like that should cost, okay, but maybe $3,500 a year is a good price, I don't know.
You might want to ask Battleground, some other people, see if they've already done that. I know Montana and the county have more on their websites, but they probably do that a lot more.
We seem to have a lot of demand for that type of information, and I know Board Docs is one platform, and maybe there's others, and evidently, a lot of people are pretty damn interested in Dayton town government, so you may have to spend that money to satisfy the masses,
Okay, so I'll just keep looking into it.
or satisfy the three, I don't know.
Anybody else got anything?
On the golf cart. Change the golf cart back to the way it used to be. You have to have seat belts for anybody under 12 years old. I think it's a safety hazard not to have them. It's, we've not had an incident in town with golf carts, let's not have one. You can fly off of the back of a golf cart very easy.
When we first adopted the golf cart ordinance, we had it in there, and then we took it out. And I know a lot of people commented to me that, why did you take it out? The safety of the kids, so I'm for it. Al and Jen, what do you guys stand or ask?
You guys gonna pay for the seatbelts and for them to be inspected?
Actually,
That'll be on the own.
If you cannot
Cars.
afford it, then don't drive golf cart.
So out of all of the golf cart owners that we have in town right now, in the 3 years that we had this ordinance with the seatbelt, how many of those people actually have seatbelts and ever wore a seatbelt?
I don't know. Not
I
my
don't
job,
know, and
not
it's
my
not
job to look
mine.
out.
So you didn't, when you were driving your golf cart, you didn't use seatbelts against our ordinance, so.
I think it's, of
I think that should be my responsibility if my kids fall off. That's my
You put a
choice.
seatbelt in your car when you drive in town?
My car is a barrier,
So did you use seatbelt?
yeah, because it's the law.
Well, this was the law in Dayton.
Didn't you say that if you wanted to put the seatbelts back on, Ron, it was gonna be for little kids?
12 and under.
12 and under.
That's not what I said before.
Anyway.
Are we taking public comment on seatbelts on golf
Yeah,
carts?
yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I looked very briefly, I got just Googled seatbelts on golf carts, and it's like, $20 to $80 for some varying belts. So a seatbelt's $20, I say each seat on the golf cart's $20. So I don't think the four-person golf cart, $80 is that much to ask for if you're gonna drive the golf cart in town. My issue with what you're doing with the golf cart ordinance is this, and I don't have a golf cart, so I'm a neutral party. But you're saying that when you passed the golf cart ordinance, you made golf carts street legal without belts.
No, originally, they made
Yes.
it street legal with belts.
But then you took it out, so you have made it street legal without belts. So for 3 years, golf carts have been legal without belts.
No, this last year we changed it. It's been 3 years with seat belts, and then some people were abusing it, and the marshal said either change the ordinance or don't, and so we changed the ordinance.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, okay, that was
But it's
confusion.
only been changed for just last year.
Okay, so that's some confusion on my part.
We want to put it back how it originally.
However, I believe if you're gonna make it to be for children, you first have to make it be for all. Golf carts have to have the seat belts available for all passengers, and then require them for the children, if that's the way you wanna go. So, if anybody's got a golf cart, they have to install some seat belts, and then you can mandate they be for children.
We want to go back to how the last board had it. When we first did this golf carts, we researched and talked about it and all that, and we put in seat belts. So we want to go back to that.
But he's saying, so if you got a golf cart,
If I got a golf cart,
you
I
would
have to have
put
seat belts,
even if you didn't.
even if I don't
intend
have
on-
kids.
But if you have kids, they must, under 12, they must be strapped in.
I'm okay with that.
That's fine with me,
But-
that's exactly, that's,
See, the way I understand, seatbelts must be made available on a golf cart for riders under 12 years of age.
They have to be, the seatbelts have to be available for all riders and mandatory for children under 12
I
years.
don't know,
Well,
is
why do
there
they
a
have
cap
to
on
do-
who can operate a golf cart?
you gotta be a licensed driver and operate a golf cart.
What did our ordinance say before?
There was no children, I just said seatbelts.
So we had that, so that's what we want to change it back to the original ordinance of seat belts.
I just think,
Hi, I'm back. Clarify a few things. We are currently on the third version of our golf cart ordinance. When we first enacted it, we took about a year to get it to where everybody was satisfied with the wording. There was a committee that was formed way back in 2015, and it took, or 2014, 2015, took a long time to get that together, so they finally created one. The way the second version, which is the one that we've had for about 3 years, is the one that the council, and I believe Stan and Ron are referring to. And under that version, the seat belts were worded like this. they covered children under 8 years old. Okay? They had to be in whatever safety restraint system that they would have to legally be in if they were in an automobile. So, if you're a 1-year-old, you've got to be in a car seat. If you're a 2-year-old, you've got to be in a car seat. If you're under 40 pounds, you've got to be in a car seat. If you're over 40 pounds and less than 8 years old, then you've got to be in a seat belt. It did not regulate anybody else. So if you're adult or you're over 8, you did not have to be in a seat belt. Okay. So that's how it was worded. And then it was changed last year to remove seat belts altogether. So for the sake of discussion, I'll give you an example of what 6 other towns do in their towns. The towns that I looked at were Rossville, Brookston, Frankfort, Franceville, Martinsville, and Maryville. With the exception of Martinsville, they're all basically small towns similar to Dayton. None of these towns require seatbelts. None. 3 prohibited riders aged 2 or 3 and under. None. So if you're 2 or 3 under, you can't be on a golf cart in 3 of those towns. 1 required helmets for anyone under the age of 18. 1 said no rider can ride on the back of the cart unless you are accompanied by an adult on the back of the cart who was all 18 or older. So he could reach out and snatch that little booger before he fell off. 1 out of all those had absolutely no restrictions at all. So just to give you an idea what other towns are doing, and I did want to clarify that the age that we had previously, 8 was the magic age. If you're under 8, then if you were on that cart, you were required to have the necessary restraint for that child. So, did that create any questions or clear up any confusion?
Yeah, it sounds like it's varied and expansive, so how about I make a motion that we put back in the seat belts like they were written 2-3 years ago with the age limit of 8 for now, and see how it works, to satisfy the safety of the children in this town. And that's what we had for 3 years, so we make a
But
motion for
can
that.
you clarify just for me, wasn't it changed last year, so are you wanting to go back to what it was?
Yeah.
19?
But didn't something else change, the time or something changed last year too, because it said midnight or something, it had to be.
Well, it said PM instead of
Yeah,
AM.
yeah.
That's just
I should be sitting at that
stupidity.
She is correct.
Hi.
I thought we were just talking about seatbelts.
Well, I just didn't want to go back and then like we reverse it.
There was 3 things that were changed, or 2 other things that were changed besides seatbelts when we changed last late summer, fall. The requirement to use lights at all times was taken out of the ordinance, and also the restriction on hours of usage was taken out. Previous to that, with the 8-year-old restriction in that time frame, you were not allowed to operate between midnight and 6 a.m.
I thought
So
that
it
was
did-
the same, it's just it had PM instead of AM.
That's what I thought.
It was from midnight
It
to
was a
6 a.m.
typo.
You could not, yeah.
But you're
So we
saying the
fixed the
time limit
typo.
was completely taken out?
I don't
There's
think
no-
so.
You could not use golf carts between midnight and 6 a.m.
Right, but
That's how that was, and that's what was taken out. You were accurate, that there were some other changes, and I just want to make
So right
aware.
now, as it stands, we don't have, you can drive it at
Whenever you
12:30 in the
want.
morning?
Yes.
2 a.m.?
Yes, whenever you want.
Oh, I think we need to put that back in. I didn't. Because I do remember that, it was like just a silly typo and you were like,
yeah,
why
I
did you
thought it
change
was
it?
just changed from
Yeah,
AM
that's-
to PM.
Hard to have lights and things like that. Run it dark.
It's not like we're driving racing go-karts.
Those are just the changes. All the other, there's lots of other things in the ordinance, like required equipment, safety equipment, but those were the changes along with the seatbelts that she's referring to. You were right.
I didn't have opportunity for my comments. I think this whole discussion is overreach on the motorcycle. I've been a camper all my life, been to many campgrounds, and a lot of those campgrounds have golf carts. never seen anything in any of the campground rules about safety belts and such. You know, it is very common to have licensed operators, you know, requirements on golf carts. It's not like, you know, you have a bunch of 12-year-old kids out there driving golf carts. You know, they are driven by what society considers adult or somebody close to adult when they're 16 years old. I think it's micromanagement on our part. You know, if you're going to do this, then you need to require bicycle helmets and things like that. You know, when kids are on bicycle and stuff like that.
You were on the board and made the first amendment we want, or the golf court ordinance we want to go to, you okayed it originally. So I've got a motion on the floor. We have a second.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to add back in the golf cart,
Seatbelt.
seatbelt language to the golf cart ordinance as it was 2 years ago before we took it out. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no.
No.
Motion carries. Okay. Anybody else?
Alright, so
got-
I will prepare an ordinance and you guys will need to sign it next time. I mean, a motion to approve an ordinance
Yeah, that's,
doesn't have any legal effect.
yeah. We want you to.
Follow what I said.
Good.
Yeah. Should seniors have seatbelts on golf carts since they have unstability?
Absolutely.
I think so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just, I don't wanna see a senior fall off that cart.
Better know about that.
Say,
Okay. Anybody else got anything to do with old business? Comments from the residents? Or, I'm sorry, reports from council members.
I don't have any.
Okay, Jen.
I do. There's a family that lives over on Marquis Circle, and they gave me this letter, and I was going to read it at the redevelopment commission meeting, but then it was like, not really talking about land usage, and so I told them that I'd read it now, so, because they asked me to read it. To Dayton Town Council, my name is Jamie Johnson, and my husband and 2 daughters and I live at 540 Marquis Circle. We have been in Deerfield Farms since 2003. Our home was the first one built in the newer part. We have enjoyed having a nice view from our backyard for 17 years now, and especially picked the lot that our house is on because it would have cornfield behind it. We are really concerned that if the new TIF district and potential Yost Road extension is approved, that our view will be hindered and the quietness of our area will be compromised. Several years ago, we had to deal with the noise coming from the construction of the new McAllister's building and the pond and berm. Please keep us and the people living in the surrounding homes in mind when considering and approving what would be built in that area. Ask yourself, would you want this, whatever, in your backyard? Would you want this, whatever, to be your view when you're sitting outside on a summer evening? Would you want to smell this, whatever, when you step outside? Would the noises coming from, whatever, bother you at night? Thank you for your service to our town. We truly appreciate the hard work you all do and the dedication to making our town better. Sincerely, the Johnson family at 540 Marquis Circle. Yep, sorry.
No, that's okay.
So the Dayton United Methodist Church is having their Freedom Celebration on June 27th, I think. And I talked to Dave about maybe doing something that same day, like on the town's part. And he said that he'd love to work together with us on adding to that, doing something. Didn't really specify what. But I've talked to some people in town who would be on board with coming up with ideas and like implementing those ideas if we wanted to make that a fun day for Dayton residents. I mean, I know they're doing like a 5K. He has some music. They're having food and they're having like little games. But if we wanted to do something also, you know, that'd be a great idea. So, I don't know if I need permission or, I don't know. Because some of the things we've talked about are like a community art project or a dunk tank with Ron Poehler in it. Like somebody knew some other musicians. So just to kind of go along with their thing, just to make it
Well, you need to plan it like the movie thing.
Do I need permission? permission to plan it? I don't know.
No, no.
Okay,
You have to figure out how you're gonna pay for it.
yeah,
Plan it and then bring it to the board. If it's something
Okay.
you need funds from, like movie night or whatever, we either fund it or we don't,
okay,
whatever.
okay.
Was there talk about maybe having the townwide garage sales or something to get people in town, or?
I didn't think that would be a bad idea. Yeah, okay. I don't want to get too far.
Speaking of events, did you get that circus thing that was in your agenda or your packet? There was a gentleman that came in, it's a fundraising circus, so that's why that was in your packet, just so that you could, I guess there's only a couple around anymore, and he proposed that date. I guess you get funding and, or you get sponsors to help pay for it, and they do 2 shows and all of that, so I just put it in there, so if you guys
Start
want to
with
pass
some
it,
paper.
yeah.
We can read it and I'll send a copy to everybody.
Yeah.
You know who is presenting it.
No, he just stopped by and dropped it off, so I just put it in your packet, so you could
Anything else, Judy?
Yes, I'm sorry. I know Michelle disagrees with me, but everything I've read, it's our responsibility to take charge of the internal controls. And I think that the bank statement needs to be released to Ron as the president and then myself on finance. So I'd make a motion
You can make a
to
motion
have the
all you
bank
want.
statement released to myself and
You
Ron.
cannot force me to release it. Right, and I don't have to hand it over because it's mine, so
guys
you can come
find
in and
out
look at
later,
it.
but I second the motion.
I think it's covered by the open door law, but, I mean, I just don't understand how she's not complying if she makes those records available to you to come into the office.
The bank statement.
And I said you can come in at any time and look at them, but
Yeah, I
they're
mean,
not being
I just-
sent out.
I just don't know how you're gonna make her do more than
I
make them
know.
available in her office.
Okay, what was the motion?
To release the bank statement to myself and you.
Okay, got a motion and a second to release the bank statement to me and Jen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no.
No,
Motion carried.
Doesn't code, you can file a complaint, it's not gonna happen.
One more thing.
Yeah.
So, obviously, as Michelle explained, and everybody can probably tell, the internal controls are very hard to do. When it's a lot of, I need this, you're not getting that, you can come look at it, I can't come look at it, back and forth. For whatever reason, not pointing fingers, but I think it might be a good idea for us to look into possibly having an outside financial consultant do the internal controls. I think it would probably make Michelle happy. It would be much easier. It would take away a lot of the,
If you knew how to
How
do your
many-
job and read the ordinance,
How
there's
many-
actually an ordinance for an internal control board that consists of me, the president, and I think one other board member. So there is an uncontrollable board.
How many
So,
that's your
hours,
choice.
how many hours a month are you talking here?
I don't know if it's something we need to look into or if we,
I'm not voluntary, it don't cost no money. Yeah. If you're so concerned, do it voluntary.
The thing is they're
Who's
refusing to
back
work
there?
with the clerk
Somebody back
treasurer
in
and
the corner
spend
there?
town money because you can't get off your high horse. It's funny, at the redevelopment commission, you sat here and smiled and laughed and spoke with me, but here in front of an audience while the cameras are rolling, you act like there's an issue. If you have a problem with it, we can have Reed all sit down with us and go through the stuff. I've sat here and told you, you can have a video camera, I don't care. You guys are the ones that are making it complicated and harassing me day in and day
Michelle,
out.
and I don't want to be, I don't want you to think we're harassing you. I don't want you to think that we're doing it for any reason other than that is what we are supposed to do.
And State Board of Accounts said that I am the person, however I sit here and make them available is my choice. That's against you, and that's gonna go against you guys that you're refusing to do your job. Instead, you wanna go spend the town's money and taxpayers' money because you can't be a grown-up and sit here with all of us.
With how you
Michelle,
act
the
during the
town
meetings.
council can
it's-
only meet in public, all right? Can you just let them have an opportunity to discuss this issue?
We have discussed it
You're not
through
on the town
emails.
council.
No, but
This is
I'm
their
the
time-
records keeper, Reed. And I talked to my attorney, who is a municipal attorney.
We're asking
And
for
I talked to
saying-
State Board of Accounts. It does, all 5 of you don't have to meet. We have an ordinance for internal controls that says,
I'm not talking about that, I'm talking about in the moment, right now. Can you just let them discuss this issue so we can move on?
it's affecting my office
So-
trying to
So
do
this,
things.
this might be a good thing for everybody to get along.
You
with
can
each other and
listen.
stuff. You're proposing somebody to come in to work as a liaison between us, to get the information that you need to locate all these bills and everything,
Or a
right?
financial person who just can run, can do the internal controls. They're
That
still not
person,
gonna,
the
you
problem
know,
is that
it's
person's
like-
still gonna have to come into Michelle's
Yes,
office. Like,
yes.
she's not gonna be able to release it, so that's, you know, it is
So
gonna
they
be
would have to come here
significant
for,
cost.
I don't know, how many hours a month, I don't,
So you wanna pay somebody else
So why
to do
don't
your
we
job?
try it a few hours to get somebody?
right, like, if
If-
things simmer down in a few months and we're able to do it,
Just do your damn job. Come up here.
okay. So what do you
That's the thing,
think?
Jen, you wanna sit here and I
All right,
have the
get
emails.
off the board.
No, Reed, this is between me, so don't
No,
stop.
Ron.
You wanna sit here and say you know how to do
Okay,
your
that's it,
job.
let's
Yeah, you
come
don't
to
know
this
how to do
stop.
your job. You have Cindy
I
telling
do
you
know
what
how
you
to do,
No, you don't. Let's,
Michelle,
where did you get the 2016 minutes that you put on the website, Jen? Who'd you get
I
them
make a
from?
motion to have somebody, your choice, Jen, to come in for a few hours, you're my choice, to come in as a liaison between this
I'll talk to my
nasty
attorney.
situation and get this stuff and work with Michelle so there's not this combativeness for a, 3, 4 hours, 5 hours a month. It's not too costly so that we can get over this problem.
How's
So
Jen
I
gonna
make
do her
a- so I
job
make a
if she can't
motion.
see the paperwork, because they can't link with it?
Do we have a second for the motion?
I second.
Got a motion and a second to hire somebody up to 5 hours a month to come in and work, get the financial products we need.
It's
All
my
in
office.
favor?
You can't
All
put
in
people in
favor,
there.
say yes.
Yes.
Aye, yes. All in favor, say no, or against, say no.
No,
Okay, motion carries.
They don't have access
Jen,
to my
you look at,
office. So,
they're not gonna have that, they can come out here and talk to you.
they have to get in
out
my
there.
office to get the paperwork.
No, you,
That's all for me.
yeah, we'll work it out.
Yeah.
All right,
I'll talk to my
anything
attorney.
else, Jen?
Nope.
Okay. Stan, Ashley?
Yeah, I don't have to work with anybody, I don't authorize.
Anything, Ashley? Okay. I had a couple things, but I'll forget it. We still got to do the bills, the fund report appropriations, and allowance docket. Okay? Do you want to, before we do that, because it might be timely, does any comments from the residents want to speak now or wait till after that?
My name is Matthew Goode, 4610 Dayton Road, which is out of Dayton, but I'm the new president of Dayton Summer Rec. Just wanted to introduce myself, tell you what we're trying to do at the ball fields. I'm trying to bring us back, because the previous boards have not, I don't think they've cared a lot, it seems like. So I'm trying to get the ball fields back to where they were in the day. If you look, we made a new website. Get on there, it's got all the stuff I'm trying to do. I've got Kirby Risk donated some LED lights for us. We're gonna light the ballpark up, light the parking areas up, hopefully get rid of some of the crime. I would like to put a camera system up. Funding for that would be helpful if at all possible. We found a needle there in the fall, back in that berm area. I'm trying to get everything painted, looking nice again. I want to put a new sign up, welcome to Dayton Ball Fields. I'm having McCutcheon make that on, I work in McCutcheon actually, but I'm having them engrave a sign for us, maybe plant some flowers, I want to be a place the community's proud of again. I've been coaching my son's team for the last 6 years, and I've watched these boys grow up. We've got 85, 86 ball players signed up this year, which is a good year for us. We actually have a 12U team, which we haven't had for the last 6 years that I've been here. So we're coming back. It's taken us time, but I think the community has seen what I'm trying to do, and I think they're stepping behind us. So I just wanted to introduce myself.
Thank you. Nice meeting you. All right, I had a couple other things, but skip, who's this, please?
Scott Swick, 715, Board of the Court. I have a question for Mr. Cole. There's talk about town that you're working with a developer to bring an Amish-style restaurant, maybe like a possible Amish Acres type attraction. And your property south on Dayton Road. Sounds like an exciting project. I'm just curious if there's any truth to that.
Where'd you hear it from? Was it a truthful person or was it not a truthful person?
It's just a question.
Well, it's coming from you, it's a weird question.
And you don't have to answer it. You're right. But
See what comes and then you'll know, okay?
so I kind of take that maybe you're not denying it.
What difference does it matter?
Well, for
Maybe
four,
there's some-
for
maybe
4
there's some
years, you
things-
tore the town apart about keeping Dayton small, and all these concerns about traffic on Dayton Road,
I'll tell you what. we put
fire
in-
protection on Dayton Road, you bring a restaurant in that are prone to fires, and those same things come up
Well, I think.
about it. And I just also wonder if it has anything to do with your sudden reversal on signing a water easement on your side of the road, which your business partner said had never happened over her dead body on hot mic. So it just seems that it's all kind of suspect. All of a sudden, there's no problem getting the water on your side, because now you're the one gonna make some money.
I've got water on our side 2/3 of the way down that service our entire property. We don't need, it's always been there. That's a misstatement or whatever
So
you're saying.
if something is gonna come
No,
on
the
your
water,
property.
the water comes on both, on the one side is the town manager and the town, and everybody's always done water on one side, sewage on the other. Greg Malacus agreed to it because it's the right thing to do, and in the future, you don't get into trying to tear up both pipes at
It makes it
once
easier
and
for a
everything.
development on your property.
We've got it, we got water and
Now-
sewage, Scott, to
now-
our whole entire property. Water and sewage to our entire property
Correct.
right now. We don't need anything
Okay.
from anybody.
Fair
So
enough.
don't imply anything.
Fair enough. If, and it's a big if, because you haven't confirmed or denied it, but if a restaurant or attraction goes in there, will there be a town vote on that? Because that was a big contention with the new subdivision, that the town gets to vote on it. So I'm just curious, does the town get a vote on any potential project? In theory, because again, you haven't
If we
confirmed
can
or
go
denied.
back and vote on that subdivision, yes, I'll be glad to vote on
You
our
can't, well,
development.
you can't go backwards.
Well, sure we could.
And I
Scott.
understand at
We
the
sure- we sure
time,
can,
you have
Scott.
control of the board now, so you could certainly have a vote, I'm sure.
Sure.
So that's a yes, that the town will get a
You'll
vote
know
on
when-
anything?
You'll know when the time comes.
Okay,
All
so,
right. I'd be more worried.
just
about-
like every other politician,
Yeah,
now
Scott.
you're getting something that's
all right.
okay to
Why
grow.
don't you go, you know, thanks for coming in our town. Since
You're
you
welcome.
moved out since you don't like our town.
You like boring.
But I'd be worried about the 160
But hey, if you needed me, if I lived on Adams
All right,
Road,
okay.
if I lived on Adams Road and you needed me to fight against the subdivision, I'd be more than welcome up here.
Anybody else?
Thank you, Mr.
comments
Kohler.
from residents?
Typically, we have stuff going on.
All right,
That answered my question.
Jen,
Guilty.
we got the, you got to approve the claims here.
I have,
It's my bedtime.
for merchant services, credit card fees,
You know, our ordinance says that we want to.
Great, just making sure, that's one of those things. For Mark, there was a receipt with his, the parking,
Yes, there was, you guys scanned it with an individual tag, and so it's so little that I scanned it on a sheet. And I have the actual tag sitting here in my office.
well, I saw, did it say the price on it?
Yeah, it says in office.
Guys, I know it's got.
Is it? Okay.
Of course, the fall.
You might want to.
There are late fees on Vectren.
Where?
There was a $2.99 late fee and a $4 something late fee. I didn't want to get these out of order, so I'll have to go back and find it.
This is perfect.
Invoice cause, you already addressed the reject fee. Best way disposal, We're paying 2 months, is that on purpose, or was that a mistake? Are we supposed to be
It's
paying 2
because they
months?
came through the email, and when you have the online emails, then yeah, on the email invoices. And when you guys wanna sit here and dictate what I can and can't.
Michelle, so it wasn't, we didn't usually get charged to, or anything, I'm not asking about late fee. Just
No,
wanted to make sure, because I thought we usually paid 1 month at a time.
that's why the description says what it is.
You get tore up.
Well, I mean, it's right there, and you have the invoice that shows what it is. It says it right there on the invoice.
Yeah, this WEX, these receipts are not adding up, so I was trying to add them up again. Just make sure I need to find that.
Well, and, on the website, if you look, there's a thing called bids, and I looked it out on the website. And there's, I have different projects on there, you can help out with any of it, you can sign up. So I know you're willing to do that for us. So, I appreciate it. I take all the help you can.
How do you coordinate with the school then? With what, in the school system? Whatever they have property there.
We typically lease it.
Yeah.
Lease it, we maintain, pay for utilities.
How much faster?
When you're doing stuff like that, installing stuff like that, do you run that plan for, because there's always rumors, you know, the rumors.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna expand, we're gonna do this, I mean.
Okay, so, I mean, instead of sitting here wasting everybody's time, what you're doing, that there was a
Put a
$2
couple
fee.
$1,000 for lights and then
742, we're not supposed to pay late
next
fees.
year you're done.
Right.
No, so we didn't, but when Ron was clerk, we paid over $2,000.
That's right, you said you were for
That's
school.
not,
So you know.
that doesn't.
I know it's
matter.
not.
Michelle.
Well, you know, Jen, when you're sitting here telling me that I can't
Oh,
pay
Michelle.
anything, and you guys won't leave me alone on stuff, it kind of interferes with my actual.
Michelle, I'm not
duties.
leaving you alone on things.
Michelle, I couldn't pay you either, I made a mistake, and I paid the state
After you got your hands smacked 3 times.
$2,400.
Yes.
Their action, and the boss knows that. So he's already, at some point, I'm gonna lose that.
It's right here.
At some point, depending on how much we have to expend it, we may have to look for some kind of project specific. But for right now,
Late payment charge of $443,
that's a few years down the road. Quite a few years.
late payment charge of $299.
Okay.
Okay, so we can't approve it for the late fees.
Oh, you can't?
Michelle,
It's
this
easy,
is
I can
what-
call them and that's
This is
everything.
why
Yes,
we
because
need
you act
somebody
like you know how
outside.
to do your job, and you don't. When you guys are sitting here and trying to dictate every single invoice that I can or can't pay, that's what's gonna happen, Jen.
Michelle, because
Jen.
it says 5 days. I'm just trying to make sure that we're doing what's right.
Okay, so
I'm not trying
let's
to
pull
make anything
every single
difficult
invoice
for you.
and over the past year, and let's calculate how many late fees that I've had. It's gonna
Probably
happen
not.
here and there,
Really?
and it's an itty bitty little baby one. If it makes you feel better, then I will
That's not
send
how it
you the
makes
money.
me feel.
Well, then you guys need to stop dictating my job the way that I've done it and everybody else
Follow
does.
what the state wants.
Well, you have no
Just trying to
problem
do what's
having somebody
right.
else pay them late and getting hundreds and thousands of
I-
dollars.
Who did I not care if they paid them late?
I'm saying Ron wants to dictate that, yet you are always paying bills late. And look at all the $1,000
And I
in
was
fees that the
willing,
last
and I was
clerk,
willing to stand up and pay all the
after the
late fees
state
and
made
interest.
you pay them after you got
And you're-
twice in audits, then they finally smacked your hand.
What did you say, that would smack my hand? It was always there, I knew it. It said they'll check you too and smack
But on
your
the
hands
third
on
time, then they finally made you pay back
Yeah,
that $2,300.
And I also signed checks ahead because I trusted them.
Which is
And they
illegal.
smack- And it's not illegal.
Yes, it
but-
is.
No, it isn't.
Yes,
But
it
they can
is.
smack your hands for doing
That's
it.
why it was in the newspaper.
Michelle, you can do it, they just charge you. I also didn't take pay for 8 years, maybe you are.
That doesn't give you the right to not pay things on time and do your job.
No, I,
503C, we are a nonprofit, but I'm trying to get a tax person to
I mean, what are you guys gonna do when all of these other invoices
says-
pop up?
It says $10 in here, but I thought we needed a receipt.
That is his receipt that pops out of the garage. Do you want him to hold his
Right,
credit
but
card?
this is more. That's what I thought we needed, yeah.
I'm not,
Because I had the same thing with mine, and so I had to bring in just a thing on my credit card that said Indianapolis parking.
Mark,
Whatever.
can you please get your credit card statement and black everything out for the $10?
I didn't do all that.
Yeah. It's his personal.
Michelle, again, I'm not attacking Mark. I just want to
You
make
should
sure
have called
we're.
me. You've had these since Monday or Thursday at 1. Yeah.
I think that was it. Should we address this, late fees? Oh, no. Lafayette Bank and Trust, $272.49 for an account service fee. What's that?
That's our bank account service fee. That's what it says.
So we pay $272 a month?
Yeah, that's what we pay on our service fee to get $59 more in interest a month.
Michelle, why are you talking to me like that? I'm trying to be respectful and just ask.
You're not being respectful. If you were being respectful, you would have
Okay,
paid.
is there something showing that, the service fee?
It's on the bank statement
Okay, where's the bank statement?
in the office. It's an ACH. It's not a check I send out. It automatically gets drafted from the bank account. There is no invoice.
Sam's Club, I didn't see an invoice for the cups.
There's no
Or
invoice.
receipt.
There's a receipt.
Is it in here?
It's attached to the thing.
Do you mind looking for Sam's? I didn't see it when I went.
It should, wasn't it the top one, that handwritten check? The one that said Sam's? Wasn't it like on the very top of the stack?
I thought so. I did not take these out of order.
Whatever. It's easier if you look at the claim stock and look at the check number, then you know where you're looking.
All right, nice one. Take care of you too.
You okay? Oh, yeah.
Yep, there it is.
Where is the? Did you have these receipts? I tried doing that,
Have all these receipts?
Yeah. All 27 of them.
27. I'm done with these. Oh. Michelle, is there a certain place you'd like me to write on these?
Right, what one?
Like for the ones that I'm denying?
You can deny them all you want, their utilities, they've already been paid.
Okay. But I don't want you to be upset if I write on something.
You can deny them, but like I said, they've already been paid in
Okay.
utilities.
Okay.
You cannot not pay them.
Okay.
But no, do not write on my APBs. You can sit here and put in the minutes, you don't need to write on the APBs.
Okay, but how will we have record of what we've approved?
It's called
and
minutes,
denied?
when you make a motion. It goes in the minutes.
Well, don't you pick the ones you don't have to? we'll approve the rest.
Do you want me to take them out or leave them in the stack?
You can do them by the claims docket, because I don't need to reorganize my claims stack yet again.
Yeah, but in my email, did you see where I was signing individual
You
claims?
can do that all you want. You have a claims docket right there with a check number. So state it, vote it. I mean, I don't know what you're gonna accomplish by denying to pay the town's bills that we have to pay. I mean, would it make you feel better if I sat here and drew back the under $10 in penalties because you guys won't leave me alone to do my job so that I can pay stuff on time and get stuff done?
Did you get the estimate?
Yeah,
690?
yeah.
I got 662,
It's 20,
6282.
yeah, it's $28 less than the 680. So it should be.
Scott said that there was an issue with one of them, with the pump, oh, there's Scott. But it shouldn't be, because those are the receipts. It says that there was 28 invoices, I talked to Scott, he said there was only 27 because there was an issue on a pump for one. Pretty sure our guys aren't filling up their tanks,
I don't think so either.
so there's no issue.
But it would be irresponsible of us to just approve things without.
It would be
checking
irresponsible
them.
for you to hire somebody to try and come into my office because you don't want to do your job. You guys don't want me to have my financial advisor, yet you guys will keep forking out all of this money to pay for people to do your job.
Okay, so we didn't see any documentation for the $272.49 for the account service charge from Lafayette Bank and Trust.
Because you won't see it, it's on
We
my
didn't
withdrawal.
see, or any documentation whatsoever. We didn't see a receipt or a credit card or anything from Mark's garage parking reimbursement. And there were late fees on Vectren that I don't think we should approve. But Vectren was fine otherwise. So, I don't know if I need a motion to deny each one, or if I,
personally think that you should guys call another meeting so that the rest of the board can be here because they got tired of sitting here until
Just make a motion.
10:15 at night.
Approve them. With the comments you have on here, okay?
approve them despite these things
Yeah. They're small.
individually. So I make,
Says it's so late, so listen.
I make a motion to approve the Wex Bank. There's only 3, Michelle.
No, there's actually like 50-some. You're sitting here saying that you're trying to improve or approve them individually.
Michelle, please, let it thunder.
She doesn't even know what she's doing.
I make a motion to approve the Wex Bank invoice despite missing receipt. Do you want me to pull them?
No,
You can
no,
leave them.
no.
Okay.
Why don't you make a motion to okay them all, and then say the
Make,
3 that you got a problem
okay.
with. Yeah, then we'll do it with the added comments.
I make a motion to approve the claims docket. Is that what you want me to do? Approve the whole
Yes,
thing with these? Okay.
With the.
I second it.
With Wex Bank is missing a receipt. The Lafayette Bank and Trust, we didn't see any documentation for the account service charge. There was no receipt for Mark Harlow and his parking garage reimbursement.
There is a receipt, just for
And-
the record.
And Vectren had late fees of $7.42.
Got a motion and a second. Approve the claims with those comments. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye. All opposed, say no. Motion carried. Okay, now we got the funds appropriation allowance stuff. Can you make a motion for this?
Can we just, can these be approved at the next meeting?
Nope.
While we wait for actual documentation?
They left, the meeting wasn't even adjourned, they left.
But the town attorney left, he's so annoying.
You said it couldn't stay too. Okay, why don't we?
the appropriation fund and revenue report have absolutely nothing to do with the
Yeah.
ATVs.
Right.
So what's the problem?
How are we supposed to check them without bank statements, reconciliation? They all kind of feed into each other.
Incorrect.
We can, okay these.
The appropriation
Can we just
report,
look in later?
Yeah. Okay, gotten the claims done. Reports from council members.
Can we do that?
Okay, I need a motion to stop the meeting.
Make motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion.
I don't even know what you guys are doing. You have to make a motion and vote to move the stuff, oh, God. Never mind.